All right, the thing is hit. I'm doing it. It exists. And as always, I immediately, I feel like yawning like every 5 seconds for a little bit now. But immediately we start and I feel like yawning.
That's how we roll.
It is, however, 9 o'clock at night, so.
Yeah, no, Lucky apologizes. He passed out.
Yeah, I saw you drifting in and out of consciousness there.
Yeah.
Your light would go green for a little bit, and then I go yellow, and you're like, whatever. I'll shoot you a message when I'm doing the thing. Yeah. I've been playing a lot of Doom today. It's okay. Before we talk about that and other stuff, I don't know, we're like 20 seconds in. I'll just do this. No, I'm not going to do the whole thing. That would be rude. But our patrons do include Aga Comics, Architect 10, Blacklist OG, Carlos, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Rogue Rob, and Shawnee P. Some guy named Bob, Soda Sun, 042 for 723, Video Game 75, and Zach Reed. And if you like what you want to see more, consider joining the Patreon. You get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies. And it really helps us out. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Lucky got a monster.
There it is.
The flavor is Ocho Rosa. Insert Spanish guitar.
Check it in. Yeah. I was going to say something like, and maybe you to kind of do like some year end of the month Patreon shilling, but then I kept going my normal flow.
No,
we have ideas and thoughts sometimes.
Our Patreon actually dipped a little bit. We're back under $500. I realized earlier. I was like, oh no.
Yes. People who pay close attention will realize that somebody is no longer in the whale tier.
Oh no.
It's okay.
That person is not lucky, by the way.
It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything, but we appreciate it. Maybe you'll come back. I would like to say, if you do leave our patronage, there is a lovely service called an exit survey, which asks you why, and you can just tell it whatever bullshit, but I would appreciate if you did fill it out just in case, just so we kind of know what's up. Mm-hmm. This is one of those classic things. Yeah, it's funny. This is what's up. It's one of those classic things of, like, feedback is, if we don't know stuff, we can't fix stuff.
No.
And
can't.
I did notice because at least one person did use this option. I think maybe a couple of people had in the lower down levels. There's a special Patreon option to say you've been impacted by COVID-19. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No, I don't know when they implemented that, but we've had a couple of people pull out of their patronage because they've apparently gone through some rough times with the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They just will not stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. Okay, so let's see. We got a couple of things, but since I mentioned it, do we just want to let me dive right into Doom real quick?
Yeah, go right into Doom.
Well, so this is a two-part story. First of all, right now, and until the 20th of next month, so it's quite a long time, but PSN is having a summer sale where you can get a lot of good deals, which I did. For about $16, I bought Doom, the 2016 one. Not Doom Eternal, the original one. Doom. Well, the original remake. Maybe I'll build to getting Eternal next time there's a sale. And the reason why I picked that is because I've always wanted to buy the new Doom, but I didn't know when there would be a good time and the right price. But they were like, yo, you want Doom for like $4? And I'm like, yes, I would. Actually, I think Doom was like $6, and I think Battlefield 1, which I haven't played yet but have installed, was like $4. And I'm like, there's another game that I've always wanted to play for reasons to watch Mages of War. But that, there never was the perfect time and price, but then they're like, hey, it's only $4. I'm like, sold. And then the last thing I bought was, you can find the original, or the PlayStation Network version anyway, of Final Fantasy VII for like $7 also. There's a lot of Square stuff on sale, actually.
Actually, I was looking at it earlier, but yeah, I saw 7, 8, Type 0. This other game that I never fucking heard of, but apparently by Square Enix, I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I think you can get the X and X2 remaster bundle for like $15. A lot. Square's really big right now. And I picked up 7 because, one, after playing, I actually had this debate with myself, because it was obviously the smallest game that downloaded first. It was like, do I immediately want to boot this? No. It's too soon after playing Remake. I might still want to go back and play some more Remake, even. I haven't done some of the post-game stuff yet. But I do want to actually go back and play the original, and unfortunately, my latest copy is on my PS3, which is currently having a bad time. I need to super clean it and figure out a better. I don't think I can use it at my place right now because I can't get good enough ventilation. It has heating problems. It's got a little full of dust from underuse, and it doesn't cool well. So
didn't you actually get the proper screwdriver to pop that thing open?
Oh yeah, no. I for like $5 I ordered from China the tiny screwdriver to pop it open and cleaned it out. It still has the heating problem a little bit. I got a little bit better, but I've had it pulled out of my. I have one of those TV stand entertainment system things.
Mm-hmm.
where it was crammed in there with my PS4, so I can see why it got a little bit of a problem. So I'm like, I don't really have a good space for it to sit right now. Like, I got a carpeted floor, so it doesn't really stand up on the side, and I didn't have room. Because I have a pretty decently sized TV, because I had to buy a new one. I used to have no, that was my temp one that was bigger, I was right. But I bought a decently sized TV, and my last TV, like, sometime last year, just exploded for no reason. TVs do that, kids. That sometimes be how it be. But yeah, so my PS3 is no operando for the moment. So I was like, fuck it, I'll buy for $7. I'll buy 7 again. It's one of those things where they get you. I always, whenever PSN does a sale, I browse the deals under 15, and that's how they get me.
Yeah, Lucky did look at the sale. He's not gonna lie. He didn't pick up anything because he has quite a few games still on his list, but Lucky, being the eternally horny on main that he is, was looking at Galgun 2 and was like, how degenerate do I want to be?
You got some stuff in there. Dude, frickin' Game Grumps and other people have played Galgun on YouTube. It's fine. It's fine. That's the ultimate sign. If YouTube lets you do it, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I say, but I was looking at the premise, I'm like, this is just too hilarious.
Yeah, no, Galgun's a ludicrous game. And like I said, if you want to know more, the YouTubers have done videos in it, so you can look it up.
But there's also a couple other games. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a Square Enix one that, like I said, I'd never heard of it, but it looked like it had some pretty cover art. But other than that, like, I wasn't like too grabbed by anything. Like I said, like right now, like I do slightly kick myself though because they did have Metro Exodus on there for like $12, and I fucking bought Metro Exodus like 2 weeks ago for like $30. I was like, shit.
Rip. Not that I think anybody really knew this was coming. PlayStation's always a little kind of under the radar with their sales. Like, they do sales, and obviously they do good prices on some good games, but it seems a little subtle sometimes. Maybe that's just me and my usually, especially now that I have battery backup, I usually just put my PS4 in rest mode. So, I don't know, maybe if I shut it off and boot it up more, the default home screen would be like, hey, yo, there's a sale. Anyway, so before we talk to Lucky about some of those games that he's playing, let me talk about Dooms, because again, like I said, always been interested. Never really was a classic Doom guy. The classic FPS I played was Marathon by Bungie. Yeah, when I was a wee small child, probably too small. Though, hey, Bungie, if you're not doing anything after Destiny 2, if you want to do a Doom-style, complete remaster, remake, whatever of Marathon, that would be cool. Okay, thanks. Call me later. Free idea, Bungie. But yeah, so I've been playing it. I don't know how far I am. I'm in like in the 4th stage. The game came out 4 years ago. No spoilers. I'm in the first stage where you go to hell. I'm in the part where the crazy lady broke the thing, and she broke reality, and now I'm stuck in hell, and I have to punch everybody to get my way out. And oh, the punching.
There's a lot of punching.
I did, in fact, quote the Doom comic the first time I got the Berserk power-up. Rip and tear, rip and tear. You're huge. You must have huge guts. And then I saw that guy's guts. Nice. Well, I'm not too Doom Eternal yet. Anyway, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. It's like a lot of people have said, but if you've never actually tried it, it is a great like arcadey style FPS throwback. I'm a little sad that there's not a lot of aim down sights, just because I want to be more precise with my bips. But you can get a scope on the assault rifle, so that's cool. That gives you a little bit of the zoom. And some of the guns have some like secondary effects to zoom. Like the default pistol, your backup weapon, and the super shotty have a little bit focus in zoom, because they don't have proper mods. They just have a little bit of other stuff you can customize. But it's like there's no sprint because you're always moving at sprint speed, right? There's a double jump power up, and also jumps are very generous. It's got all the classic, the Doom stuff, the HP bar, the armor bar. If you do glory kills, you get more health, so I do that a lot. I'm playing on the medium difficult. The normal difficulty hurt me plenty, by the way. Because it's Doom, so all of them have idiosyncratic names. I was like, this is normal. I just want a casual Doom trip. I still die a decent amount, but I also kill a decent amount of demons. And honestly, the thing that kills me the most is environmentals, because like I said, you move at basically sprinting speed all the time, so you are slippery. And let me tell you, there's no handrails in Hell, or on Mars. That's actually not entirely true. There are some handrails, but there's a lot of infinite voids you can slip into, and a lot of moving unsecured machinery that just squishes you.
Real talk, what are handrails when you can jump like 10 feet in the fucking air?
Yeah, and there's no fall damage. They literally say every time I've hit a thing that's not just off the map, an infinite drop in a bottomless pit, it says impact compensation. So you're like, oh, I'm fine. And then you slip off entirely and you fall into a deep dark pit, and you're just like, whoop, and then you explode for some reason.
Well, you have to die somehow.
True.
Apparently.
Something has to get the Doomery.
Because otherwise, you're just gonna be stuck at the bottom of the chasm, going, "What now?"
But yeah, it's got a lot of that classic arcadey shooty feel. I love it. Decent variety in all the weapons. Your classics, the rocket launcher. There's the plasma rifle for light, and the assault rifle, I guess, for both for high speed stuff. They do slightly different things. I've just gotten the Gauss rifle, which I'm assuming is kind of more snipery, or at the very least is a big shooty gun for long ranges. I do constantly find myself running out of ammo on all my favorite guns, and then I use my chainsaw, and then I'm out of chainsaw fuel. But whatever, it's Doom. You deal with it. And like I said, I kind of appreciate this just classic form, where it's just like, oh yeah, you're just in a room, and some demons will show up, and the room's just filled with HP and ammo and armor, whatever. Go crazy.
Yeah.
And then occasionally there's the power-ups. You got the Berserk, the Invulnerable. I love Berserk. That's so much fun, just because you can only melee, and every melee is a glory kill. You're dead, and that's your skull. And yeah, it's very heavy metal. So I'm having a lot of fun. I'm going to keep playing that. And sometime I'll boot up Battlefield 1. And next week, I've got, because I did pre-order the remake of Destroy All Humans, and I did that because I was kind of hoping to have it arrive in a timely fashion on a Tuesday, but then Amazon sent me an email where they shim-shammed me. So, unless Magical Fairies kick in again, I think, it hasn't even shipped, it won't be arriving until Thursday now. So unless Lucky and I are going to swap stream dates, which probably isn't worth it, because we do not necessarily easily make sure to coordinate our schedule and stream every week as it is. You never know when you're, going to be sleepy or tired or have to hug the floor. And then to be like, oh, well, we'll do it a different day. It's not worth it. Maybe I'll do a bonus stream sometime, but it won't be this week. I can always come back next week. Lucky does it all the time. He just starts games over. I could do that. Destroy All Humans isn't that technical, whatever. Or I could just, fuck around and do telepathy all the time, which is what I did in the first run of that game. But yeah, so that's my personal video gaming news for nows. Let's see. Well, we probably shouldn't leave the people hanging too long on Gacha stuff, because we did put off you talking about Tales of Crestoria, and then we said in the show of Let's Talk that you would actually talk about it, so we could move into that, or you could talk more about Ghosts of Tsushima.
I'll talk about Ghosts of Tsushima later. I actually got bigger thoughts on it now that I've not quite beat it, but I'm getting there. Fucking getting there.
Oh, and I should say, well, we can come back to it too, but the Amazon does have it back in stock. I'm planning on ordering that too after a little bit, but now I have new shiny things to try out first.
Yeah, Lucky wants the physical copy still, because digital makes him hurt slightly inside. Anyway, so Tales of Crestoria. As it says in the title, it is a Tales games of Bandai Namco fame. So those games like Tales of Symphonia, Tales of the Abyss, Tales of Legendia, Tales of Zillia 2, Berseria, Zestria. That was the one I was trying to think of. Yeah, all that. And like a lot of gacha games like this, they have decided Tales of Crestoria is a giant compilation of all the characters of all these games put into one gacha game. But unlike with some other ones, Tales of Crestoria features a all-new story with all-new characters, which makes it quite interesting to begin with, because, one, you have your main crew, who you start picking up for free in the main story, but you start seeing cameos and whatnot from other characters. And something I found interesting about this is that it doesn't seem like in what I played that they are, transported from some other world into this one. No, they're just always a part of this world, and they just have their story slightly changed to suit it. They're still the same kind of people and temperament. It's just the circumstances of their life have changed, which I find interesting and I like. So let me start this off by saying that I've already dropped Tales of Crestoria. Not because I didn't like the game. Far from it. I actually really do enjoy it. I like the story. Combat was fun and stuff, but Lucky is doing too much multi-gacha drift right now, and he decided that like he can't handle Tales of Crestoria along with everything else. Like right now, Lucky is literally playing FGO and Azure Lane, and earlier he was playing Arc Knights and Destiny Child. I'm like, no, this is my limit.
It's a thing.
Like, I haven't uninstalled Girls Frontline just because I have a spiritual connection with that game, and I don't actually want to get rid of it, but I haven't touched it in, like, weeks.
You should remember to log in. I gotta be honest, I'm not... To derail slightly, like, I'm trying to do my Girls Frontline reps, but it's fucking Isomer, man. It's not even that it's hard. I just think that because they added the difficulty tab, they, like, weren't like, oh, well, we need to make sure the early stuff's easy for new people, so... Like, the map to, like, that is, like, recommended to farm boxes, you know, because it's one of those. It's, like, 3 or 4 turns and, like, 7 moves and shit. I'm just like, fuck, that's not efficient at all. I can't bring myself to, like, spend the time doing the long, complicated patterns all the time. It's just, I feel like they kind of went backstep a little, and they're like, okay, well, you can, you know, do normal or hard tab in this, so, yeah, I guess we'll just go back to making all the maps really complex and stuff. I'm just like, killing me. But yeah, so I'm not ready to... It would be a hard choice if I had to decide which game to quit, because I've spent a decent amount of money. It's probably getting close to 3 digits, if not more, on Azure Lane for skins and stuff, and lucky bags. But that is the game I probably, quote-unquote, enjoy playing the least. But I like looking at it, and I like seeing the designs and stuff. Girls Frontline, I vaguely enjoy playing, and I like a lot of the units and the themes. I just don't pay super attention to it. It would be a hard pick between those two.
Like he's gonna retweet this picture of Musashi's swimsuit exploding because it's great. It's a good picture. So with Tales of Crestoria, the battle system's in 3D, which is pretty nice. Combat is pretty simple. You usually have 4 characters on screens. They have 3 attacks of varieties, and if you have a SSR unit, they usually have an ultimate attack. The game is interesting in the fact that while there are rare everything is based off these Memoria stones, but only stones of SR quality or higher actually give you characters. Rare Memoria stones are usually used for equipping like Crass 7s in FGO, or in sort of this grid thing where I think you could just put like 9 just to get additional benefits and whatnot.
Grids.
So
no, I'm just thinking about Tron. I'm just thinking about the grid guys.
So, it's not a game where you're gonna have, like, especially starting off, you're gonna have, like, 80 different units. I think when I was playing, I had maybe 12 max. And only 2 of them were SSRs, the rest were SRs. But I was still having fun. I got, her name's already fucking escaped me. But I got, Layla, who was from, Tales of Zestria, who is voiced by Shitaya Noriko, the VA of Sakura. So I was all like, yes, Sakura noises. This makes me happy. But the game doesn't the game does have a little bit of a hiccup, and sometimes as you might like, especially starting off, you might not have like a big spread of characters to deal with things. Like I said, there's elements, there's light and dark, and then fire, water, earth, and water. And they all have a element relationship chart, like all games do of this type. So sometimes you might not be able to like fully make a team. Some others might. And it's all depending on the gacha lucky got. But it's like I said, it's pretty fun. So let's see. I'm trying to think here where I want to go here. So with the gacha, like the rates aren't horrible, I want to say. But as I said, there's definitely a big leaning in you needing SRs and SSRs. Specifically SSRs because they get another attack on top of it. They're the ultimate attack. Not to mention that a lot of like level up potential is locked behind getting dupes. So this is something that's interesting. So when you first get a character, you get their stone, and if it's a new stone for a new character, you get that character. Now the character and the stone are separate. So even if you like got rid of the stone, you still have the character. The way to basically limit break your characters is you need to feed them their own stone. So there have been some cases of people like accidentally feeding like the first stone they got to their characters again, unlocked, and then using the thing because it's a equivalent stone. Like a SSR character will have an SSR stone, and usually these stats and whatnot to compensate. So usually you want to save it for equipment onto said characters because usually it also gives like as well as giving stat bonuses, it'll usually give an additional effect bonus. When you feed it to the character, usually it just gives them a limit break, basically, that lets you increase the level of their skills and whatnot and stuff. The stones are also interesting, and because you can, just like craft evidences, you can level them up for additional stat bonuses, and also you can do something that's called augmenting, which basically you feed it augment stones, and it can increase its health, its health, attack, and defense.
Sorry, I'm narrowing my eyes in chat because some people are making bad puns. Given my eye. Continue. My Zap Brannigan eyes.
So there's a lot of fiddly bits to the game, but a lot of it is dependent on you rolling the gacha for stuff. And as I said, while the rates aren't bad, your intake of the premium currency isn't super high. Like I think it was like 2,500 for a gacha pool.
Oof.
For
at the very least, that kind of inflation is rough. Like with FGO, at least it's like, okay, 3 quartzes is 1 summon. 1 quartz is 99 cents American anyway. Like, okay, cool. I understand these numbers. 1 quartz is worth about $1, and you need 3 quartzes to do 1 summon. 2,500. Ooh, I don't like that kind of currency inflation. I could see how that's maybe like more relatable to like yen or something, but like, geez.
But yeah, and while you do get like a good amount of free currency here and there, when you Axa said it, you only get about like 200-ish a day, and that's with dedicated play. So you're not going to be getting like big returns on gacha. Like I said, I'm not sure if they necessarily have a welfare system. As I said, I didn't play that long. I think they do have an event going on right now. Their summer events, which does have already has 2 more SSRs in it. But as I said, there are free units in the store. In the story, I fucking love Vicious. He is great. Kanata and Misela are great, and everything has great character dynamics. Like, here's the thing. This is the thing that I've always liked about Tales games. Tales games don't usually have the best storyline per se, but they always have the best character interactions. Tales games put a lot of effort into making sure that you know how these characters relate to each other, and it's something that's it's like near and dear to my heart. Something's happening in chat.
I'm trimming gifs.
Oh.
That is something I think I've. Well, we do that all the time when we play tabletop, but in general, I occasionally will just trash can it if somebody posts an animated GIF because it's just like, okay, that's looping forever and nobody's talking. It has to go.
But like it's very quickly like in game you see a character that's like fucking Misela almost has this yandere level of fucking idol worship for Kanata. And this absolute hate of Vicious, and Vicious is just like, whatever, I'm fucking awesome. And occasionally, it's like you see this like in like victory screens and whatnot, because that's something that happens when like you get a victory screen. Occasionally, it just instead of it's all the characters just making a pose, sometimes it'll just be 2 characters just talking to each other. And one of the ones is of Kanata and Misela are just fucking Misela going like 100 miles a minute talking about how great Kanata is, and Kanata's just like, oh my god, slow down, you're making me embarrassed. But then you go overseeing to Misela and Vicious, and Misela's just like, you survived, pity. And Vicious is like, yeah, sorry for being so badass, and he's just like, I'm out. And like, of course, they have some of these with other characters. They even have like dialogues in mid combat. The one that popped the most for me because I always had them in my front row was Velvet and Misela, who every time combat starts, Misela's all like, so this is what it's like to have huge bazongas. And Velva's like staring at them isn't gonna do anything. Cue Miss Haley going, if I had to use this song, mumble. And I'm like I like things like this. I always love little conversation pieces that like you explore characters' relationships with each other. And the Tales games have always done that. So like again, I'm a little upset that I don't like have the time or ability to run 5 gacha games at once. But
yeah, that's definitely, especially because a part of the gacha model is definitely to like to capitalize on your engagement. Like most of them, and honestly, I appreciate, for instance, that Arknights doesn't. I've been kind of cruise controlling. They're gonna, well, I don't even have a Chen, so I think I'm just gonna have to let it pass. But they're gonna do that new costume, and I'm like, fuck, I have no Prime coins right now, absolutely none. I spent them all on Feeder's costume, but I still don't have a Chen, and I'm not. After seeing so many people get bamboozled on even on a 1 in 3 chance on the fucking guaranteed pack, I'm not spending $25. I'm like, no. I'm gonna get like another Hoshi, and I'm gonna be like, that's cool, but that's not a brand new unit, so yeah, I think I'll skip that. But yeah, in general, gacha seems to want to capitalize on your time and get your involvement, whether it's grinding, rolling, getting your daily currency, doing your builds, doing your PvP, checking your guilds, doing your runs, doing your commissions, whatever. There's always something that it's trying to get your attention and do either in the background or actively. They want you to be on their app, they want you to be doing stuff, and maybe they want you to maybe run out of stuff, so maybe you have a reason to spend money.
Oh no!
Speaking
this
of
hurts my
spending,
heart. I'm gonna post it.
Speaking of spending money, I was just casually browsing Amazon, and then Amazon was like, hey, would you like to buy yourself something? We've got this Rider Ishtar figure for only $30, and it's like, there's only 5 left in stock, and I'm like, oh no! Do I go for it right now? I don't know. I don't own any figures. I don't really have a place to display them, though. I'll let my business sense reign for now. I'll wait until after the new month to go apeshit.
Lucky's like, I don't have space. Therefore, emerges out of a Home Depot with like shelves and railings. I will make
I
more
can't do
space.
any of that.
I will make more space.
No, that doesn't work for me.
Like, I'm pretty sure I've told people, but that's literally what I did when I moved. I was like, I don't have any shelves. So I literally went to Home Depot and made myself a behind the fucking door case bookshelf. I'm like, yes.
No, I can't do that kind of googling. Also, actually, this is a good point. It's been a year since Three Houses came out.
Oh yeah.
That's why you will see some Three Houses art and stuff around.
Lucky found this comic, and then this comic someone did, and was like, my heart. I still haven't finished the fucking Golden Deer ending because I don't got a Golden ending, so I'm like, there's no point. Everyone's fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't gotten super deep, and I probably should because I want more Secrets of the Universe, but God, we went a little too hardcore in that game, I think.
Yeah.
We got really sucked in, and then the actual mechanics came up, and we're just like, God, wow, doing all these routes back to back is really samey, because the gameplay's all the same, and you get all the same units. Because we're not scrubs. Someday I'll pick up the DLC, and I'll have new classes, I don't know. But anyway, someday Nintendo will get my DLC money, because I kind of do want to play the Breath of the Wild 2, but I haven't, so.
Sorry, I just saw the latest cute, sexy robots. How dare!
Oh yeah, no. There's all kinds of stuff that happens. This is what happens when you pass out and go to sleep, Lucky. People post things. But yeah, so, also, by the way, you haven't mentioned it at all, but people in the chat are yammering about PvP in Crestoria.
Oh, man. Well, PvP is like anything else. You're going to get the people who get the maximum combo or spend ridiculous amount of money, shove it all into your units, go to PvP, and reign as champs. That's how it is. That's how it's always been. Cue the fucking meme.
Yeah. Just like in Azure Lane, everybody you find is like, hello, solo level 120 Enterprise, fuck you. And then you're like, I'm dying to this. I'm literally dying to this right now. How dare, how very dare. Alas, it happens. Well, honestly, I was thinking about that because, again, I'm hip with the children's card games right now. I'm just thinking, that's always how rando collectibles, though, go, right? Like, when you were playing on the playground, that's how it was. The kid who had the biggest allowance and could buy the most cards, or was just the luckiest. We've always been able to objectively measure your luck levels. We just have changed how we do it now. Now we yell at luck sacks for getting SSRs and gachas. But back in the day, it would be rare cards and other such tchotchkes. Getting the thing you wanted out of the capsule machine. That's an etymological reference. But that's just how it was, and that's how it would be going to tournaments. You would either start with a structured deck that they sell you to alleviate this problem, or you rando kit bash. Though, admittedly, I think with some of my stuff, I could rando kit bash some interesting things right now. But I'm not going out anywhere. Kidding me?
I don't like this.
There's probably not anywhere near I could even play those card games with real people. I'll just stick in my kitchen. I have and always will continue to play solitaire. I don't play literal solitaire, by the way. I don't know how that works, but I have done other things solitaire. It's a great way to hone your skills and practice your mechanics. Solo practice. But yeah, the PvP thing seems to be a little sticking to people, but in general, I agree with you. It's just like, I mean, that just is kind of how it works sometimes. And good games will do like ranking stuff. Like that was something that Azure Lane is pretty good about. Now that I got a South Dakota, then I usually stop caring about the merit shop. But that's something that they rotate through seasons, and depending on how good you are and what your average power level is, you will quickly settle into a ranking where after you beat up like 4 or 5 scrubs, you were like, okay, this person's way too hard. And then you stop for a while, and that stays your ranking for the whole month or whatever. So that's a good way to do it. I don't know how Crestoria handles it, though. Obviously, hey, heads up, I'm not playing this game. I'm probably not going to play this game, because I'm also full up on Gacha and have no investment in it. And don't ask me if I'm playing it in my stream, please. I tried to do a dramatic sip there, but you can't really hear that when I got a bottle of water. I need a mug of coffee to... Yes, the PvPs, the Crestorias... Anything else there? As I stretch.
I'm trying to think... Like he's trying to translate this fucking arcade news page that I'm reading. I'm like, Anyway, but so let's see here. Combat's fun. Characters are great. PvP is meh. Gacha is gacha. I think that's it. Like honestly, I would recommend Tales of Crestoria to other people who might be looking for something new to play. As I said, the story's good. The combat's fine. Maybe you might need to re-roll a couple times. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a little bit of a pain. But it can be done, as always. But, as I said, they do give you a free SSR to begin with. As I said, you usually get enough for a full team in first time. So, give it a go. See if you like it. Maybe the story will keep you on. Maybe the combat will keep you on. Who knows? Lucky will continue to play ridiculous amounts of Destiny Child, though. He will not stop. Actually, I was able to show a little bit of Destiny Child on stream last time because I had to go check something. I was like, I don't want to turn off my fucking stream for this here. I'm gonna look at all these fucking glorious LT2 images of thighs.
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit of that. I was there for some of your stream, then I had to come out to go do some stuff. I think I checked in and you were checking out Destiny's Child. Showed off the stuff, doing okay. I'm gonna assume that people liked it, or at least put up with it.
They put up with it. At that point, things were winding down, and Lucky was getting eternally tired.
Sleep.
The more tired Lucky gets, the more he is just like, I don't give a fuck about anything right now.
Sleep is a real danger zone these days. Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, that's Tales of Crestoria. Let's see, do I want to talk anything about Destiny's Child? Really? No. We only have a small community of players in our Discord. I think it's like me and maybe like 3 other people.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They seem pretty passionate, but it's honestly, especially what I've seen of you play it and the way you've described it, it seems like a pretty chill game to, it doesn't look like there's a lot of like super crazy demand. And we talked about this, right? Like how gacha games try and capitalize your time. It seems like Destiny's Child knows that your time is being capitalized on a phone. So, hey, just do auto, whatever. You can auto set up your stuff, let timers run, do whatever, keep repeating, do all the stuff while you do other shit,
Yeah.
Which is a good way to build your gacha game. That is the thing that I think FGO, obviously, our kind of flagship, struggles with. Like, FGO requires a lot of attention when you need to do it, but on the other hand, you can also, say, burn through your natural AP really fast and then quit for a while, too. So it's kind of bursty,
Well, as I said, like, Destiny Child is also stupid generous. It's funny. It's stupid generous, but it's also stupid in your face with buying packs and stuff.
Well, that's probably their system, is they probably get you hooked on getting new units or trying out stuff or whatever, and then they're like, hey, you've got all this stuff, and then when you blow through it all fast, it's like, you want to buy some more? That's the the first hit is free kind of model. Like
Yeah, but I know, but then also then like the second hit is free and the third hit is free. It's like right now in Destiny's Child, they're literally going through a campaign where every day they give you a free 10 pool ticket. And on certain days, that free 10 pool ticket is just an automatic 5-star ticket. They're water themed, so it's all water themed. But this is important because they actually post their schedule ahead of time. This is something I learned. We have 2 big bosses that are fire types coming up. So they're like, yeah, no, here you guys go. Have some tickets so you can prepare yourself, and have a fucking free 5-star. That was Calypso. You have a fucking 5-star tickets. Have like daily 10 pools, and not to mention here we got a new event here, a new Ragnarok. You can get free copies of the boss by doing the raid. Let's see what other things. Oh yeah, you can. Oh, here's something that I found crazy about Destiny's Child. One of their gacha pool systems. You know how like we have raid ups and whatnot in other games. No, Destiny's Child goes further beyond. They have it set so that in specific raid ups, the only SSR you can get is the one on the manor. The only one. And I said like usually they have.
That's interesting. They don't.
Yeah.
A lot of games we do and other stuff don't do that.
Yeah, no,
or at least have a spread.
Here,
though, I mean, we've talked about with FGO that to interrupt, but we talked about with FGO before that the actual odds of getting an SSR spook are actually really, really tiny. It just somehow happens a decent amount of time, thanks to confirmation bias. Yeah, actually limiting to what you can get is interesting.
Yeah, the only caveat is once you pull one, you can't roll on that banner anymore. Like
that is an interesting system. That would be interesting.
Yeah. So basically,
so it's kind of like the way FGO handles the GSSR, but even more narrower. Like almost like Azure Lane's Wishing Well.
Yeah, it's like that. And as I said, the rates are pretty good. I think standard rate for an SSR in Destiny Child is 3%. And like they have usually a premium summon, which you can do once a day, which doubles the SSR rate to 6%. And when I'm talking about the laser focus thing, you can get multiple SSRs in one thing, and it'll still be just that one. Let's see here, and like I said, like you can get tickets all day, every day for SSRs and 5 stars, I should say. Well, no, they call them SSRs. But as I said, the other crazy thing is they're crazy generous with their fucking currency. Like I know I mentioned this before, but on average, you can get almost 600 of the daily currency like a day, like 600 to 700. I don't know off the top of my head. To make a roll, you need 2,700. Now that's just off the dailies. Now you can also get premium currency from the friend point gacha. You can get daily currency from your arena ranking. You can get the premium currency from like just doing the devil pass missions, doing other missions. It's like the game is stupid generous with its currency. The thing it's not generous with though is blood gems, which is the second premium currency.
So they got the whole double system there. I see.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is blood gems, well, they can be used for summoning. It's not usually recommended. It's usually best to save them up. Because you can get like 1 or 2 a day through like missions and other stuff. But also on world bosses. Once the server has beaten 100 world bosses, every world boss beat after that just gives a blood gem. Lucky went from like 10 to 90 after the last world boss. But because what a lot of people save their blood gems for is either getting there's a special enhancement material that can take a level 1 character to like level 50 or even level 60 if they wanted to, or this is the big thing, use blood gems to buy really dope fucking costumes.
So kind of the Azure Lane model.
Yeah. So I guess you don't
honestly, if you think about it that way, like if you scaled that currency similar, would you say it's probably maybe like wisdom cubes?
Kinda.
Like, obviously you need more, but the rate at which you get them, like, you can get like 2 or 3 wisdom cubes a day, you can get like 200 or 300 currency a day kind of thing. And then
yeah, like I said, the
you need
premium
the blood
currency,
gems to get the really saucy stuff.
Yeah, like I've shown some skins. Like Destiny Child is I thought Azure Lane was horny on main. No, Azure Lane's just cultured. Destiny Child is fucking horny on main. Jesus fucking Christ.
Let's be real, they're both pretty horny on main. As evidenced by the fact that, like, literally every time Azure Lane introduces a new unit, there's usually a thighs and or butt and boob shot. Like, they literally will slice those out and be like, face, tits, ass. Here you go. All the 3 essentials.
Okay, let's see.
The 3 essential flavors.
Let me pull up the fucking culture that is the title screen of Destiny's Child right now.
That's not good. I already feel a little gurgly and burpy, but I just got my order of sweet and spicy trail mix today. Because I was hungry and I had some money, so I was like, I'm gonna buy myself some sweet and spicy trail mix. In case you guys don't know, Omega likes Happy Belly sweet and spicy trail mix. It's great. It's the real shit, as they say. Oh, though you talked about sorry, I was just talking about something in chat. You talked about how you can use blood gem to get an enhancement material. I got 2 points on that. One, first of all, maybe not with like sync quartz, right? But like I'd love if there was an item kind of like what they did. They did actually do that instant enhancement thing in Anniversary 4, right? Like I'd love if they did more of that. Like maybe like once a month you could buy one of those, like a fast track thing in like the Rare Prism shop or something. Because gosh, there's always that feeling when you get a brand new like SSR, SR, especially if they're like an event bonus unit, right? And you're just like, great, now I just have to pour EXPs into you at a rate of hopefully 4-star alls. Hopefully. And if not, well... But also another thing, since we're talking about some gacha stuff, I mentioned Azure Lane. I did actually, in my meandering, it's because they tweeted about it, actually. Because I think they're doing a bonus for it, but Azure Lane tweeted about the catch-up system. And we're like, check out your rookie missions, you can do now. And I'm like, that's where they are. Alright, I'm in there.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't actually explain that, did I? I just said, yeah, it's there, somewhere.
Yeah, you didn't say if you specified, and I don't know if you knew at the time, that was several weeks ago, but I was searching around for them, and I don't know if they were... I don't think they were implemented, like, right away, because they have thresholds like do so many commissions, and I'm like, okay, I know I haven't logged in very regularly in a couple of days, but I have 0 of these checked off, and I'm pretty sure I usually at least do 1 commission a day when I log in the middle of the day, or whatever. So I don't know when they actually activated those. But I got a decent amount, and I have immediately taken, I'm almost done with Monarch. Because I was about halfway done, which, by the way, to put that in perspective, I know I'm slow in this, but also still... That means I was at 2 million total, because I'd already done the 1 million. I was about halfway through the second one, which is 2 million total. So you need 3 million. And then I just fed her like 90 of those catch-up things, and she went to like, you know, like 999 or whatever out of what you need. Like I need like 1 more of them to complete it. I'm like, wow, that was fast. So it's a great system. I love it. It's great implementation. More games should do stuff like that, catch-up stuff. Like, heck, I wouldn't be surprised if FGO didn't start doing that more, but if only because they've hit 5 years. We had a comment on today's Let's Talk FGO, or is that I was talking about, you know, elite limited rare units you can't roll all the time, like using Melt or Kiara or something, and I was like, oh, we could just use Mechaliz, and somebody was like, posted a comment, cries, and joined in November. I'm just like, yeah, well, that be how it be sometimes. It do be like that sometimes. There'll be a rerun at least.
Let me go to this. To share videos, I actually have to go through my gallery. There we go. So, yes.
Ooh, that's weird. I don't think I had anything seriously spicy yet today. My stomach's bothering me a little. I need to take
Lucky had Eggo waffles because he is filthy casual right now.
Hey, no, trust me. I've lived that breakfast dinner life. The Brenner.
The Brenner.
Listen, sometimes you just want waffles, or at least as P-Stuck tells us, everybody just wants somebody to make them pancakes.
Lucky will apologize. He has literally made zero progress in peace talks. I actually made a to-do list, posted it on Twitter, because I was like, what is going on in my life right now? What do I need to do? What do I want to do? And I'm just looking at this and I'm just like, And then I went to bed, because Lucky's eternally tired right now.
Sleep.
Anyway, so...
That's okay. I haven't, I'll talk about it more later, but I haven't made so much progress listening to the audiobook version either myself, because I've been listening to other stuff, but we'll talk about that a different time. As a different chat, is there audio for this? Are they gonna
there is, but I don't think you'll... Well,
there might have been a little pop there, audience. I muted it.
Yeah. But yeah,
it's too bad I don't think I can slot that in as the... Well, I suppose I could, but then it would have to be like a loop or something. I'm not going to make that loop eternally for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was just for the patrons.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's,
Also, this was something I did want to bring up earlier, but was distracted, because somebody made a joke about the band Destiny's Child. There's no possessive in the gacha game Destiny Child.
It's just Destiny Child. I don't know if I said Destiny's Child at some point, but I mean,
it's possible
Destiny
you
Child.
have because of meme reasons, but no, the game is technically called Destiny Child. I don't know if it has anything to do with the band, or if I think it's Korean. If they just thought it was cool. I remember things sometimes.
Yeah,
well,
no.
Yeah,
this game does have a very bad habit of just throwing names onto things.
Okay, we understand this, especially. Eastern cultures often go, hey, Western names are cool and exotic. Let's just slap those on there. Think of how much shit in anime is named for rando Norse things. Usually pronounced poorly. Which is no offense to the Japanese people, but man, I'm assuming it's mostly the writers and directors, but a lot of people do not put any emphasis on trying to do good phonetic pronunciation. That was something I remember from watching Etika 7 AO. I mentioned that I don't actually like the Japanese subtrack because it's set in Europe a lot, so there's a lot of European names, and I don't mean anything by it, no value judgment, but man, the Japanese VAs don't even try. I'm just like, no, that's really bad.
Oof.
What's up?
My computer's under attack by a fucking pop-up site.
Oh, him with the hammers.
Yeah.
You enable the power of sweet ad blocker most of the time. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm using, but apparently it's still trying to make a connection. So
that happens. There are some websites who it's turned into a whole thing. Ad-based revenue, saying this is as a group that is partially ad-funded. A lot of people try and get even more spicy with their ads and kind of actually like subvert things faster than your ad blocker can keep up with them. Which I understand kind of why you do that to try and maintain your monetization and whatnot, but also you got to be careful. It's really insufferable. And a lot of people have talked about this in just a general sense. I will say you want to be careful about being fully ad funded because that means that you're really at the mercy of advertisers and advertiser whims, and like it can get a little rough, especially depending on what kind of content you produce.
All right, Meg, you're gonna have to give me a minute here because I'm gonna have to fully reboot my computer here real quick because this connection does not want to end. They really want me to look at this website.
Okay. We've been going for almost an hour. Let's take a little intermission. While Lucky does stuff. We'll be right back, everybody. No, I hit the record button. Now we're going again. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I blanked out there.
Apologize. Lucky does. All right, things are. I said I'm not getting constantly pinged now, so that's good. But Lucky is working on some cleanup measures in the background here, so it's a little distracted. But yeah, so Destiny's Child, again, super generous, super horny on main, also super fun, and super convenient a lot of the times. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna keep showing it as I talk about it. But let's talk about things more people play. For example, Arknights. They just recently had a couple of streams. They had a JP stream and an EN stream. Unfortunately, Lucky did not watch either of them. Lucky was watching the Fate stream, the Fate Extra stream for one of them, and then he passed out, so he didn't watch the English stream. But we do know that there is a new event coming on here, and we're already getting notifications for sweet new costumes. How dare! There's even a sweet little PV to go along with it. If you guys haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out.
I actually haven't yet. Said I actually haven't yet. I'll make sure to do that.
Yeah. A lot of people are Neon, who is one of the very few actually limited operators in the game. Lucky has stopped trying to kill himself for Reed and preparation for the other Dragon Girl. Because yes, Neon is also a Dragon Girl, and I'm just like,
Though technically, Reed is the only Drake, the only Western dragon in the game. Neon is a long Chinese dragon.
Yeah, but she looks cool. She looks very cool.
She's limited. I have also been slowly stockpiling Red Originum Goobles, and we should get I believe we should, because this is their half anniversary kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've been going for 6 months ish, or whatever the appropriate timing. I don't know.
Mm.
Has she been 6 months? Holy shit! It could have been. I don't even know. By the way, if you occasionally hear chewing sounds, I'm a little groggy, so I'm attempting once again my dangerous forbidden technique. I have poured me a bowl of my sweet and spicy trail mix, and I'm eating it because the spices will wake you up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, One Fat Panda says we are getting 21 pools worth of tickets, which is good.
Okay, that's what I was going to bring up. Was they're giving us some? It is a little bit of a. It's not just another event. It's a little bit of a milestone celebration. So we're getting some goodies first. So that's good, and I didn't have to kill myself for Re because I got her my first 10 pull. Yay! The one time rolling for a 5-star unit actually worked out for me.
Yeah, it didn't work out for Lucky. He got fucking broken, and I'm just like, why? He also got like, did I talk about this?
I don't.
Yeah. Oh, he also got Mastema and an exercise.
Oh yeah,
and then another
that
exercise. Yeah, I did.
I don't know about the next exercise, but definitely the double. The fact that you got red and blue, which by the way, that's how I got my Mastema too. Was I got those two together.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. But yeah, I think you mentioned that part last week.
Yeah, but then I also I did buy the pack because I do want me a Scotty. I still want me a Scotty. So I actually did put down I threw down the money to get the special limited headhunting pack. And that's when I got my another X. I think I meant like P4 exercise. I'm just like,
yeah, and that's why Omega has not bought that pack because I just know that I get shim-shammed.
Mm-hmm. But like, to attempt. But hopefully this event gets started and late enough that the standard monthly ticket is still in effect, and he might throw down for that. Maybe he knows. He doesn't have a fuck ton of iridium piled up. I got enough for like a single 10 pull. But you never know. Fate, fortune favors the bold. Lucky had to think of how to say that.
You had to work on it a little bit, but you got there.
I had to work. I got there. So I will try.
Yeah, I think I'm working my way up toward. I'm working my way up towards having about 3 10 pulls and just red originum.
Yeah.
And who knows if I'll spend more or not. I probably won't. I'll be glad to have a new event because I want to actually play something. And I know I'm up to Chapter 5. I could work through there. But also, then I have to work on story in Dark Knights, which in the late usually requires at least double checking a guide or something. Because, God, some of those are fucky.
Lucky hasn't been really doing too much on the story-wise, but I have been doing quite a bit here and there. Like, I literally just... Today, I got Feeder to E2, then I just shot her up to level 50.
I probably work more on my E's. I haven't done one of those in a while.
Like,
I haven't gone super deep on playing. I've just been doing my Annihilation and stuff.
Mastema is Elite 1 already, still level 1. Oh yeah, that's right. Lucky got super lucky and was able to get a top operator tag and recruitment. So
actually, yeah, I got not top, but I got senior, so I was able to get Texas.
Oh, nice.
Because I didn't have either Texas or Ziva, so I rolled the dice on that. Actually, I think I posted that screen cap. I got like 4 rare tags at once.
Oof. Yeah, for some odd reason, anytime I get top operator, I always get senior operator with it. It's happened like every time.
Rough. Hardcore.
But yeah, I said still no Manticore for me. So, but I was able to pick up Nightingale, which is one of the 6 stars I did not have, thanks to tags combination. I think that was like the only one I really could get that I didn't have already. But it was fine because Nightingale is a healer who does AoE heals, so I can pair her with Perfumer and they can just chill and be awesome together.
Yeah, I pulled it up. So I had a choice of Vanguard, Senior Operator, Fast Redeploy, Summon, and Robot.
Robot!
So I went with Senior Operator and Vanguard because I think all the fast redeploy units you can get with that tag, and I also have already gotten Summon on its own, so I have Meyer. So I was like, I'll roll the dice on a rando new 5-star Vanguard, and did in fact get Texas, so I have all those guys. And now she and Lap can hang out and fight in my base.
Mm-hmm. Alright, now I have to go to my internet browser and clean this out.
Kind of hoping for some new stuff. Like I said, I'm doing a little bit. I do my Annihilation every week. I do some stuff. I did level up Reed to max level immediately. I should double check if I got enough to E1 her already. I might, especially because they're giving us little bits of extra stuff in the dailies. So, I mostly just, my Arknights thing is a little weird, but my usual behavior is literally, first thing I do when I get up is I open up Arknights and I do all my, clear up my factory, go to the credit store, do all that stuff, check on my clues, cycle everybody through the dorms, And then if it's a new week, I'll do some Annihilation runs in while I'm waking up. And then when I go to bed, I usually come back and maybe I do some grinding. I get some mats or something.
Mm.
But because it's like only... does everybody having a problem with Clue 4? 4 is the one I need right now, too, and nobody gave me 4s. But because I'm doing this at like 4 or even later in the morning when I'm going to bed, because as we talked about, what is sleep? Who knows? But that's not usually a really good time to try and do big brain Arknights content, like story stuff. You know. Though I suppose I could maybe try and hit up some more hardbound maps for some more. Like I said, I have some... They showed off that their Chen skin, which I knew about, but like I was like, that's coming. I'm like, and I don't even have Chen yet, so I'll suck it up. And I spent all my last bit of Prime coins on Fleeter, because I have her and own that one.
It's a good skin, though.
It's also a really good skin, yeah.
Let's see here. So, Arknights continues to Arknights. As I said, I put a lot of time into it earlier today, doing my Annihilation runs. Like, I'm still on, what was it? Actually, fuck, which one is it? Is it Annie 3? Yeah, it's Annie 3, fuck. I've only broken 350 on it. But I'm also not too fucking fussed about it, about getting the last 50 at the moment. I'm just like, As I said, I'll come up with some cool strats later. And later is always tomorrow.
Yep.
So...
Tomorrow is another day.
But... I have a lot of level 50 E2s. I really should probably... I keep doing this thing where I'm like, alright, I want more E2 characters so I can have a bigger spread, but then, like, my current E2s are just like, but we haven't moved in ages. Since you, like, max level us? I'm like, maybe?
It's all really fucking expensive, though.
Yeah, like, it gets crazy expensive after a while. I'm just like, no. Actually, what is my list of E2s at the moment? I'm curious. Hang on one second. Do I want to pull this up on... I'll pull this up on my computer. Thanks, BlueStacks. Lucky's also been seriously considering running the multi-launcher on BlueStacks so I can actually run multiple instances of it and play different games at the same time.
But Lucky, no man can live at that speed.
Fortunately, I am no man. Wait.
No, we established this yesterday. You're a VTuber. You're a VTuber now. Always was. Isn't that a screen cap we have somewhere of me saying I'm actually a deepfake or something?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the ones, because I suddenly, I followed that up with, I'm actually a 13-year-old girl. Let's see, can I pull it up before anyone else does, though? That's the question.
It's like 10 o'clock at night. I don't think anybody who has those things is paying attention right now, Lucky.
Let's see here.
Maybe if Lop has it, because it's he's in the Upside Down.
Here he goes.
Yep. Well, if you want it, there it is, buddy. Okay. Alright, so that's Gacha stuff. You can now title the episode Tales of Gacha. We'll get like 100 more views than usual.
Yay.
Hooray.
Azure Lane, it's just doing a rerun right now. It does have 2 new ships, both of which I was able to get without dying.
Yeah, I think I did like 1 10 pull. Got some new stuff.
I think I had to do a little bit more than a 10 pull. I think I had to do like 15 pulls, because Lucky didn't do the thing where he immediately goes crazy with 10 pulls. He's just been doing the 3 daily, and they go.
That's a decent way to do it if you're not too super fussed about the units, right?
Lucky tries to only get super fussed about the Iron Blood ships now.
Right. But sometimes you do go apeshit, and then you're just like, 10 pull. They're fucking nothing. 10 pull. It's fucking nothing. 10 pull. Oh shit, where'd all my cubes go?
Yep.
That's the Azure Lane roller coaster where you're just like, no, give me this 1 purple. Give it to me.
It's true. It's true. Oh, man. So Lucky has completely wiped a lot of his temporary files and cookies and whatnot, so nothing is saved on his computer, so now he has to start remembering passwords again. He's like, rip. Especially since I started using stupid, long, complicated passwords. Like,
everybody wants to use I had that problem the other day, because to buy this stuff on PSN, I actually forgot that I hadn't updated my credit card in a while, so I have a new one, because it passed the date, so I had to reset the date. That required me to remember my PSN password, which I was like, shoot, I don't remember what that is now. I know I changed it earlier this year because I've had some security concerns. I think maybe some old passwords got leaked, so nobody actually got into any accounts that matter as far as I know before I started resetting stuff. But I got some emails about, hey, some people in like India or Vietnam are trying to access your accounts. We're pretty sure that's not you. You want to do something about it? I was like, yeah, I should do that. So then I had to go into Google to do Google passwords because it's remembered some of them, and then I had to remember what my new password is on Google, and Google really wants you. They're doing some try hard, so I had to like summon up from my brain. What did I change this password to? It takes a little bit sometimes.
Yes, it does.
Because I like to do themes of passwords so I can remember stuff, but obviously you don't want to have literally the same password for everything, because that's a security risk. But
yes,
I also need to remember all my fucking passwords. And honestly, my style of password is to use short, memorable phrases, which are actually, if you just string like 3 or 4 words together, that's actually infinitely more secure than just writing, I need like a 6-letter word. Bunny 5, right?
Yeah.
With a capital B. Okay, cool. That will fit most of your password protection's minimum requirements. That's way less secure than typing something like, if you can fit it, the raven crows at midnight. And also, you might actually be able to remember that your password is the raven crows at midnight. You can say it like that. Because that could have, maybe you have a mnemonic for that. And that's way, way, way harder to brute force or crack than to do it. And obviously it doesn't matter if you make a password if they leak your passwords, though, because then they just have your fucking password. The animals.
Look, you should really be working on Siege here, but goddamn these rocks. Goddamn these rocks! Ah! I fucking hate rocks!
Goddamn rock squares.
Yeah.
I think the spice thing is actually working. I'm starting to feel more awake.
Yay! The spice.
Listen.
Okay.
You gotta love the spice. Embrace the spice.
I was gonna make a Dune reference, but...
Hey, dude, the spice must flow.
Yeah. Ah, there we go. The spice must flow. There it is.
I'm
sorry, I haven't read Dune in a fucking age.
Neither have I, but some stuff's sticking with you. Are they making a new Dune movie or something? Or is it a TV series?
They might.
I don't know.
Probably.
Backstreet Boys Reunion Tour fucked up a lot of releases. I think Tenet got delayed. Yeah, Tenet did get delayed again for forever. So weird. We live in weird times. Okay. I think we talked about literally all the gacha.
I believe so. Yeah.
Well, no. We didn't mention Sino Alice at all. But also, I think like half the people in our community who played that was like, they also dropped off immediately. So I don't know.
Yeah, Lucky feels nothing but smug satisfaction in his prediction.
Well, that's usually how it goes. I think probably the game that most people were excited to join in on and stuck with was Arknights. That actually had staying power. But I think that's because Arknights is also actually pretty good. We've waxed poetic about how good a built game it is a lot.
Honestly, from what I understand, aside from FGO, I said we got pretty big Azure Lane and Arknights. I think that's our big trifecta of gacha right now, because we have people who play like a lot of different things. There's some people who are playing the S&T game, some people play the Danmachi, a couple people picked up the Overlord one.
Well, we have a pretty, at least from our record, the Discord and people occasionally chatting to us on YouTube, we have a pretty decently sized community. You know, we've got a wide variety of like subs and stuff. So people play a lot of different things. People enjoy a lot of different fandoms, and a lot of these gacha games have, you know, those little hooks. And once you're in for one gacha game, you know, you'll put up with a couple.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know too many people who play just one, ourselves included, obviously. But there's definitely been some stuff that came and went. Like back in the day, it used to be there was a lot more Fire Emblem Heroes players, but a lot of those people died off because I think Heroes maybe made some decisions that fans didn't like. Or at least all the fans I talked to didn't like. And actually, I should caveat this. I actually played Fire Emblem Heroes before I played FGO. It was on my tablet that then exploded.
Boom.
I didn't literally explode, but it stopped working suddenly. Bricked very hard. I have that effect on technology. Most things I own work until they don't. I don't usually have a lot of slow decline, other than maybe with my PCs. Like, I'll let a PC go until it's maybe a couple years past its prime, then it's like, it's gotta go. Phones, small electronics, and shit like that. That's just like headphones, whatever. It's just working fine. This is broken now. I need a new one. Rip. But Fire Emblem Heroes used to be more popular, and Girls Frontline used to be a lot more popular with people. I don't know if, and actually it might have been I think it might have peaked in popularity in the general community ethos when old Courtsy Boy switched over to that one. But that one also has waned a lot. I think because it's not that it's a hard game, though it is often we bitched and moaned a lot about how complex the maps are sometimes.
Yes.
But it is a game that has a very heavy story element to be invested in. It requires a lot of investment, and it's I don't even know. It's not for everybody, I guess I would say. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of identity and a lot of themes in there that's not for everybody, and it can take a little bit of getting used to. And it's unfortunately got like it's not really got like super meta, but it definitely has some optimization that you have to be in the community to know. And from my limited experience, even with people in our own community, some of the people in that are kind of snooty about it, like making sure you use the right stuff and whatever.
Lucky remembers the moment that he was kind of mentally done with Girls Frontline, is when he was looking at his friends list, and like the first 7 people had the exact same lineup. Oof. So I was just like, yeah, no, this is way too cookie cutter bullshit for me.
Yeah, that is one of Girls Frontline's, like I said, issues, is that like it feels like there's very much an optimal team, and there are a lot of junk units in it. You're mostly playing it for collabs and stuff, and I genuinely like the style and ethos. I'm not ready to just give up on it yet.
Oh no, like I keep telling myself I need to go back and play all the goddamn story sequentially, because Ghost Frontline has an amazing story. It's real good.
Yeah,
it's
that's
real
the
good.
thing that I think keeps you. But
yeah.
The gameplay lacks a little depth at parts. It's not a very... Even when you're doing stuff, it's still, like, or trying to improve old units, it's still grinding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe a little bit more specific than some other games, but, like, there's a lot of investment to high level, there's a lot of investment to level your fucking heavies, your heavy supports, all that stuff. They haven't even implemented in English that system they're supposedly implementing about stealing units, but at the same time, you just know that that's going to be some weird grindy. You're going to have some new base location you're going to have to spend like 1 million batteries on, so that it makes like 5, I don't know, rocket-propelled dragon dildos a day. Or whatever. That you can only use them, and they only matter for capturing enemy units, etc.
Rocket-propelled dragon dildos, I'm writing that down.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying weapon. Terrifying weapon.
RPDD.
I think I can actually make that the subtitle. I don't think I can make that the main title, but I think I could make this AKA Rocket Propelled Dragon Dildos.
Please.
Because YouTube doesn't care what's in the video description. But yeah, Ghost Frontline's okay, but that used to be way more popular, and then it kind of waned. Azure Lane's always kind of been a middling, gentle simmer. I want to use the phrase simmer because it's Azure Lane. And I'm talking about it being horny, not about it being a game about boats. That one doesn't ring any bells, Trino King.
Grand Summoners is an older one, if I remember correctly.
Did anybody... I guess a couple of people in our community tried out Dragalia Lost? Because that's another Nintendo one. And I've seen some of the character designs. It looks cool. I just don't have the fucking time.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's like people. I think some people still play Honkai Third Impact.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
I know some people play Epic 7.
Mm-hmm.
Which has occasionally shown me YouTube ads, and I'm like, this looks cool, but also still don't have the time. I think that's you gotta have a big buy-in for some of these, like, Arknights really got me with really good character designs, and I actually like the gameplay loop. Like, that was the two. Like, even before I knew the gameplay, I was like, whatever. They're cute, I guess. Generic-ass anime gacha games, you need to have a hook, otherwise I'm just like, whatever. I've seen 50 million of these. You know, like the reason why I bought into Girls Frontline and Azure Lane is because I'm like, shit, dude, I like history, and I'm a buff about military technology. That's cool. That's cool to do the Mecha Musume personification thing to, like, a gun, or a ship, a boat. And I already knew, Kantai existed. I never played it, but I knew it existed. And for FGO, obviously, there's a fandom hook, and that's where we talked about this before, that's where a lot of games get you.
Oh, shit, that reminds me. So no one's playing this because it's not English, but remember when I was finding those gacha game images of those really, really horny on fucking main girls?
Yeah.
I actually found out what game that was. It's called Lost Origin. Hang on, let me
show me some research images.
Yeah, let me show you some research here, my dude.
Show me the stonks.
Or was it Last Origin? It was something Origin. Hang on.
He'll figure it out. Well, unfortunately, like most things, 90% of gacha games are shit, but that's just everything. There's a lot of shovelware crap out there.
Units. Yeah, here it is. Okay, where can I find the horniest on main?
Oh. The fact that that's a question is dangerous.
Oh yeah, here is one of them. Like, okay, so... let me...
Hold on, I gotta put on a lab coat
mm-hmm.
to let everybody know this is for science.
So this is for science. This character's name... This is probably gonna be a small image, I apologize, because the wiki's kind of shit. But this is named Acrobatic Sunny.
I believe this other image that our man Lothram has found is also relevant to this.
Ah, yes. Because, fun fact, this is also a Korean game.
My God, how are they so horny?
I don't know.
Because, man, no, this is even beyond. In this image Lothram has posted, I believe that I can detect scientifical presence of some areola in there.
Yes.
That's some heavy nipple shading action. And also that, well, first of all, those panties are going to fucking explode off those thighs because they're so extra thick.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I detect a slight hint of camel toe on them, on account of how tiny they are. So yeah, that's some big fucking horny.
That's a big fucking horny. But also, which is hilarious, they're also horny, but they're also mech.
Roboto. It's like a robot T-Rex.
But yeah, so this game is like, I was like, fuck. That's like, I'm like, Lucky kind of wants this game. He's not gonna lie.
See what they bring it over. They do a lot of weird stuff. And then sometimes they throw away stuff.
It's like I said, not every single one of those designs is nothing but tits and ass. I mean, they did have several other designs, but they just like, all right, so we can go from a 0 to 10, and they went 11. And I'm just like, okay, I'm okay with this.
These are the kind of games that at least I assume, because that's where I see a lot of art retweeted from random games. Like I saw some art from Destiny Child before we even knew what it was. These are the kind of games that rando Twitter art people who usually speak in some kind of Asian language that I don't understand play these games. I assume they play it for the artistical research, or maybe because they've been paid to be in this game. That is another thing that also seems to happen a lot. Artists like to play the games they get paid to draw in.
Like I want this. Like the second girl, I want this because I her head is so small compared to the rest of her. Jesus,
that's definitely
her thighs are bigger than her head, and that's awesome.
Hey, that's how you know they're good thighs.
But okay. I don't know what you meant by very Korean. This is just nerd bait in general. Excuse me.
But okay. All right. But yeah, that whole conversation I think was just in general talking about the characterization of the gacha. And like I said, I think honestly that's being horny is a decent hook. You know, you need something to market. Sex does sell.
Well, honestly, and that was the interesting thing is like that's what got me hooked on Destiny's Child because I just saw literally horny on man girls. I'm like, I'm interested in this, and I got into it. I'm like, oh shit, I actually really enjoy this. How dare they use the female body to entice me into something more? How dare they? No, don't worry. Lucky's a fucking simp. Why not? I think that's what the term is nowadays. God damn you, fucking!
I don't know.
God damn you, slang.
You kids, your newfangled slang I can't follow. Ooh, that's a cute girl.
Like as I said, like honestly, if there was an English pass for Lost Origin, I'd probably play it. But it looks like it's all in the Koreans.
Who knows? Maybe they'll port it. You never know.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. We talked for Gacha for a pretty decent amount of time there. I think we covered literally all of them in one way or another.
That's because Lucky is a beast.
Even if we just alluded to the fact that they exist. But yeah, okay, so we're at about an hour 20. Do you want to go ahead and talk about Ghosts of Tsushima more, or do we want to talk about something else?
I can talk about Ghosts of Tsushima. So Lucky is almost done with the game. He's in the last third of the game. He's in the final area. And boy howdy, this game is making me hurt inside. For story reasons. Let me just give Axe some fucking side-eye here. But it's been a roller coaster of emotion. And I can definitely say for a fact that Ghost of Tsushima is not a happy game. It is not going to have a happy end.
That's not how classic samurai movies work.
Yeah, no, as I said, this game is full-on homage to Kurosawa samurai films. And, no, actually, you don't get to talk about it because you haven't experienced this like I have. You've probably watched other people play it and heard other people talk about it. So, no, you be quiet. So, as I said, I'm in Act 3, which is literally, like, here's something that I find interesting. The 3 acts are just basically titled by the action that you have to do. The first act is, I think, take Kanade Castle. I think it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. Second act was take Shimura Castle, and the third act is just called Kill Khotun Khan. I'm just like, oh. As Like, the overall premise of Ghost of Tsushima is, I think I explained this, the first one was save your uncle. Well, you have to take the fucking Kanata castle for that, but yeah, save your uncle. And then take a castle and then kill the Khan. As Ghost of Tsushima is very much a story about a man who stares into the abyss and the abyss stares back. And it's much a story of hate, revenge, and what one will do to protect what they have. Like as I said, Jin Sakai started this off as a noble samurai following all the codes and stuff. And where I am now, he has I don't want to fully give spoilers for this, but he has fully embraced what he has become, and people are like just as much fear him as they do respect him. And it's interesting to see because you see this reflected in a lot of your interactions with other characters. For example, there is a character named Norio, who is a warrior monk, who you meet, who starts mimicking the things you do. And when you see, and one of the things is when you see what this person is become capable of, it paints a stark picture of what you have become capable of doing and whether or not it's the right thing. But you never really fully stop to think whether or not it's the right thing, because in your opinion, it's the only thing you can do. Because directly through your actions, you have probably saved more lives, you have saved more lives than what would have happened if you had tried to just bum rush the fucking Mongol hordes. But
hey,
it's not honorable.
Lucky?
What?
Something really interesting I think just happened.
What?
So, I just got an email from the YouTubes, right?
Yeah?
Your stream from last week,
Mm-hmm.
Anniversary and Chill,
Mm-hmm.
has been blocked for an audio-visual claim.
Okay.
For Fate Grand Order Summer Servant Festival Pickup 2 Servant Spiritron dresses by
What?
Bandai Namco Rights.
What?
Which, by the way, the time segment in your stream coordinates to Caster Gill's NP. So I'm pretty sure that marketing has is prepping to release some trailers and stuff. Interestingly enough, and we may have accidentally gotten a buy blow. Don't worry, I've already responded. I've filed a fair use claim. This is not us trying to steal their marketing thunder. And also, if it comes to a double dispute, I might actually also be like, guys, that's not even the right NP. Excuse you. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. But it's a very interesting thing that has just happened on YouTube. Luckily, I mean, it's not great, and I can always hard edit. I can just fucking smash cut out that NP for Gil. Yeah, that's a weird thing that's just happened.
Bandai Namco, though.
Bandai Namco marketing. I don't know if they handle the marketing for anything FGO related.
I guess. Well, that's interesting. Bandai
It's a weird
Namco.
one. It's a weird one, yeah. Or it could be somebody copyright trolling. I don't know. We've gotten a couple of those that I got rid of. But hopefully all the stuff has been figured. And like I said, if not, it's just a couple 30 seconds in a 6-hour stream. I'll snip it out. But okay.
Honestly, we're not sure how Bandai is connected to Aniplex or Lightworks, but as I said, people do connections. Like they might use them for marketing, or who knows? I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
Thoughts for later. Where's my Ghost of Tsushima thoughts? Oh yes. And okay, so I was talking about being feared and respected and dishonorable, but
you were talking about being Batman, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little wild because while you're like, this is what I'm talking about. This not being a happy game. You honestly, despite you killing the game as further goes on, it becomes less about saving people and more about killing Mongols, which is wild.
Pretty typical.
This is something I've noticed. There's a lot of you get a lot of side quests and stuff. Try and get to a place and save a person or track down a person to see if they're still alive. Usually they're not alive.
Yeah, no, that's usually how that goes. Fucking
yeah,
Mongols.
oh fuck, this one killed me a little inside. So there was a mission in the third act where you have embraced the legend of the ghost and people fear you because spoilers. One of the things that you do in the second act is you poison a fuck ton of milk.
Yep. Sounds about right.
And because of that, the Mongols learn how to use your poison, and the poison becomes a fucking commonplace thing. Now, in the third act, I come across a fucking boarded up house that they don't let me in. They say, because I'm the fucking ghost, like, death follows you wherever you go. But they've been poisoned, so they're sick. So I'm like, yeah, I'm the fucking ghost, but these are my fucking people. Let me go get you some medicine and supplies. So I go up to a nearby Mongol camp, but they're all gone. It's like, oh, they must not be hunting or something. I get the supplies, I come back. The Mongols that were missing are there, burning down the fucking house. I'm just all like, why?
Ow.
And, so I murdered them all.
So you stabbed all of them, right?
Yes, I clearly stabbed them all, with extreme prejudice. And I find one survivor who's all like, if we had just let you in, like, this wouldn't have happened. And then they just go like, bleh. And I'm like, then I bury them. You
bury them while the fucking flute goes apeshit in the background.
Yes.
No? Yeah. Cherry blossoms fall.
You dig a lot of
snowing
grave.
on Mount Fuji.
Like, actually,
I'm kind of glad I didn't jump into this game right away, because as much as it sounds super cool and interesting, that's also it sounds like it's a little bit of a downer.
It is a little bit of a downer. Like I said, there's other things. I mean, there's something that happened at the beginning of Act 3 that absolutely slayed me, and I don't want to spoil it because I do know Loth got it, and I don't want to ruin this for him.
Yeah, so we'll leave off the kind of in-depth super stuff.
Like I said, I'm trying to avoid like flat out spoilers, but like I said, I have become a murder machine. Like I said, I'm not even done with the third act, and I'm I've fully leveled up everything. I have like all the techniques and stuff. So I can murder pretty good. No, like I said, other people might listen to this, and I want people to go. I want everyone to like lay it as free as I can, because the opening to Act 3 is a fucking wild trip. Like shit has. Like as I said, this is the moment where you go from trying to save people to trying to kill Mongols. And hang on one second. Sorry, I was looking at something and apparently said that there was a Japanese and global version of Last Origin coming soon. I'm like, wait a minute. How dare?
All right. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We are
this is also from last year, but
yeah. Well, yeah, that works.
But still, I'm gonna look into that later. So,
hitting that one.
Thinking words. Heck, I might just play the Japanese version. I'll be happy with Moonrunes if I can get big titty, big thighs.
Yeah, you were just talking about how you don't want to ruin it for people, which is actually a thing we've talked about, and discussed, because there are sometimes when we go spoilers, and we do always try to double down and be like, this is a spoiler conversation. We are spoiling right now. But we have a couple different ones.
Well, I think it's also too soon. Like the game's only been out a week.
Yeah, basically, it's a little in the soonest.
But yeah, but Loth does have a point. Like basically, you do try to help people, but usually you're helping people by killing a lot of Mongols, which I do a lot of.
Well, you said this earlier. You're playing somebody who was a full blown samurai. That's pretty typical. Unfortunately, the warrior skill set is mostly ride horse, murder man, collect taxes. When you're a full blown warrior class, you don't have a very diverse skill set.
Mm-hmm.
At least not in most points of Japanese history. There were actually some points where there was a little bit less war, where they really doubled down on the warrior poet shit. But that's not universal. Actually, that's by the way a whole different thing. People should look into Japanese culture, because it's not in history. Because there are a lot of very clearly defined periods where a lot of different things were happening.
Yeah. But, by the way, I did figure out, this is the first invasion of Tsushima. The second invasion of Tsushima, the Japanese were a bit more fucking prepared.
They were like, oh fuck, it's these assholes again. We've learned some lessons from last time.
Yeah, they actually built some sea walls, and they were actually able to keep the Mongols out at sea until fucking another storm come and wreck their shit.
Yeah, kamikaze.
Fun fact, I'm hoping this game ends with some weird-ass boat shit, and then the fucking storm comes in. That's what I'm hoping
pretty
for.
Metal.
It would be pretty fucking metal. Because at one point, you do come across a monk. It's like, yes, we're all praying for a giant storm to come and save us. I'm just like,
Well, it's flexible. And like I said,
flexible. It's a romanticized Kurosawa homage.
Yeah, I mean, also technically, like I said, technically, depending on what kind of armaments you're armed with, for instance, this guy, at least I'm pretty sure it looked like from the images, you have an actual full blown katana. That's probably not period accurate either.
No.
But it's okay. There's a point when you're making a movie, and It really seems like what they're going for, especially because there is a Kurosawa filter. They are going for a movie-like feel. So you let the audience have some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know, Axe, you say that, but I believe that Anglemois, I think that's how you pronounced it. There was an anime a couple years back that was also about this. It was kind of weird, how the timing was, because I think this is about the time that Ghosts of Tsushima was, like, first being announced. That's a little bit more period accurate, like a lot of the armor and armaments are more appropriate. But even then, those guys are like, when they see, like, guys wielding cannons for the first time, fire lancers, they're like, is that a cannon? I've heard of those. Though they are occasionally bamboozled by, like, hand grenades and stuff. But, actually talking about how gunpowder is a thing. But yeah, that's something you should always be aware of, is what kind of level of feel you're going for, and I'm sure what Ghost of Tsushima is going for is a cinematic feel. It's got a little bit of verisimilitude, right? But ultimately, they're acting like you would if you were making just a samurai movie, which means you have to... So video games can be anything, theoretically, right? They're virtual. But you still have to get to the audience, right? You have to reach your audience. You have to also have something you can manage, and you have to give your modelers all this, You have similar requirements to real life. You have modelers instead of prop makers, all that stuff, so... You're trying to build a visual language that your audience can understand and that your technical guys can work around. So, guys being like, fuck it, there's a lot more research and there's a lot more build-up to katanas than actually researching the, 5 or 6 periods of Japanese swords. Right? So you want to play to the themes than actually be 100% historically accurate. And even the Japanese are like that. Like, I was talking about how honor wasn't that big of a deal. It's at the time. That's what I meant, right? Like, there have been a lot of different periods of Japanese history focused on a lot of different things, and while we have more modern sources, which kind of coalesce all that stuff, and when I say we, I mean we humanity, like, there are a lot of late era, and even modern era historical works that kind of go back and track all that stuff. Like, I think the Hagakure is actually pretty recent. So... we have a lot of people looking back and coalescing all these themes. They weren't necessarily actually 100% accurate. Like, you've talked a lot about the Tale of Genji and the other works of Lady Murasaki. That period of history was very, very different to the way that you might think of traditional, Japanese fiction stuff. But yeah, so it's not 100% historically accurate, but it's cool. Okay, Axe, this is the thing we're talking about. I sound like it. You're doing that thing where you keep commenting on something. It sounds to me like you're trying to fight something, and I don't like it. Okay, you clarified your edit. Yeah. Well, and I don't know if it was 100% that, but that is, I think, what I'm talking about with the Hagakure. There were honor codes and stuff, and obviously the Japanese have super embraced it in their own cinema. That's always the thing to think about, is, like, think about how much, because we're weebs, think about how much Japanese stuff you consume and how much that's devoted to a lot of big pillars of Japanese culture now.
Well, we have a simple term for it. It's called romanticism.
Yeah.
It's like, we do that with everything. Like, fuck,
ever since we invented it. By the way, that is another thing to note about culture. You might think that that's as old as time, but actually, the concept of romanticism and the romantic period didn't come out of nowhere. That was actually a thing. I believe that's the post... Is that in the Renaissance or the post-Renaissance period?
I think it was in Renaissance.
I think that was one of the Renaissance themes, was romanticism. That would be about the time of the... I think that was post-Enlightenment themes, was romanticism. Or maybe Enlightenment was after romanticism? Fuck. My humanities professor is so disappointed in me. I took 2 semesters of that. I used to remember this stuff. Anyway, what we're getting at is that when we see history, we see it literally as a book. You open up, you turn to a page and be like, oh, this was here. That's not how what culture is. Culture is a river. It flows backwards and forwards, and it's all kind of flowing together as one contiguous thing. This is a conversation I had earlier with Vesper, because they were talking about, like, cleric domains and stuff, and they were talking about making a homebrew deity who they called David Bowie /, what was it? Like, the Grand Minstrel, and I'm like, that's cool. They were like, what domain should I assign to this deity, though? And I'm like, well, okay, so... just taking a screen cap from Venture Brothers. Hello, I'm David Bowie. When he's the cigarettes, I'm like, that sounds like trickery. But I was looking at the list, and first of all, it's a pretty compact list. Now, obviously, it's got some mechanical stuff to it, right? Like, that's a thing that happens when you're a cleric, is you pick domains and whatnot. But so there's mechanical constraints. that is actually a game design thing we've talked about. You want to be careful about going apeshit with your options because that can go wrong in a lot of ways. But I was looking at these and like, yeah, man, I feel like we've done the historical context thing that a lot of people forget about, because I was like, I don't think you could make like all the Olympian gods in this, because we were talking about like art and stuff. There's no like arts or music's domain. I'm just like, no, that's not right. Like, I understand maybe that's not mechanically important, but if you're actually trying to model faiths and stuff, that's not how that works. Like, that's usually a pretty major thing in mythology, is that somebody does music and stuff or other. Well, crafts.
This is modeled in D&D, right?
Yeah,
yeah, of course. As we said, D&D, especially the things, is a very can you make it combat.
Well, yeah, and then some of these, like, there is a knowledge domain, there's a trickery domain, stuff like that. There's also, like, well, an arcana would be magic, but then there's, like, death, forge, grave, life, nature, tempest, war. I'm like, okay, alright, okay. But it's not necessarily a kind of... Well, I'm sure there are architects or whatever in there, but it's weird. But it's definitely a thing where it's like, yes, we are serving the mechanical needs and the mechanical expectations of people who are playing D&D to play D&D first. We are trying to make sure we are mechanically modeling our world second, kind of. And they do different things in supplements. They'll make some stuff more specific, but in general, it's usually like, okay, we're trying to achieve the D&D feel first, and then actually like do unique stuff second. So I was like, yeah, I don't know if you could model the original 12 Olympians, because if you think about the Olympian gods, you got a lot of weird ones in there. Like, so Zeus is king of the gods, so he's probably like order or something, and he's also sky and storms and stuff, right? It's pretty important. Yes. And that's it. That's all he does. He's the big chief god, and he throws lightning bolts.
What the fuck would Hera be then?
I don't even know. I guess order also, but because she's the goddess of like marriage and civilization and shit.
Yeah, I was like,
but
wait
it's
a
still
minute.
super limited. You know, Athena is the smart goddess of war. Ares is the war goddess of war, the jock one. Aphrodite is really just the goddess of, like, beauty and fucking. Hephaestus is god of the forge. And then you've got motherfuckers like Hermes and Apollo, and in some cases Dionysus. I think I talked about this where I'm like, and, you know, we'll shill OSP a little bit more. They've got some great videos on this. Red really gets in there, this kind of thing about, like, no, she's not an Olympian. That's the thing. I'm talking about the Big 12. Yeah. Though that could also... That was split between whether or not that included Dionysus or Hestia. But that's a different thing. Hestia would be another weird one. Because I don't think... At least the way that it is now, I don't think there's a... I don't think there's like a fire domain. That would also probably be like knowledge or light. Or, maybe knowledge, but like light maybe. Or maybe order. I don't know. I really don't know. But sacred hearths and sacred flames are also a really big recurring trope in mythology, so...
Burn shit, give it to the gods.
But, like, Apollo is god of a lot of stuff. He's the god of the sun, so that's probably light. He is usually associated with healing, or his kids are, so probably life, but then, like, okay, but what about all the music and the arts and the other shit he's supposed to be for? Or, fucking Hermes, it's nuts. I said about OSP, like, I think they've done some good videos in this. I'm pretty sure if I remember rightly, there's solid etymological theory that both Hermes and Dionysus used to be Pan, but there was a drift because Pan was super wild and crazy, and lots of, frolicking in the woods, which didn't sit well with a lot of urbanite Greeks, so they shaved off the more urbanite parts of Pan and turned them into different guys. So that's the thing I mean where, like, culture is a river, right? Yeah. So you think of a classical mythology as fixed in place, but stuff's moving all the time. And at one point it was not only was it contiguous over history, but it's a living thing at one point. Same thing with cultures, and when you choose to reflect them. And you often have to take these snapshots and use this kind of storytelling shorthand. Like, I'm sure a lot of the stuff in Ghosts of Tsushima, to keep talking about that, is still shorthanded. Like, you're trying to understand these things.
Well, so you're also trying to make it understandable to a modern audience, too.
Right. Because, like, okay, maybe like outright Bushido wasn't a big deal at the time, right? There might not have been, but people still struggle with the idea between doing what's right and what's expedient or whatever, or the cycle of revenge. So one also, yeah, you are building a mythos, it sounds like, so there's a little bit of that too. But we understand those struggles, but you need to put them in a specific language because, especially I think for a game like this, which is I actually don't know how much Japanese studios were involved, but I know Sucker Punch is originally, I believe, Western.
Oh yeah, well, no, we are. Sucker Punch is actually based in Washington. Actually, fun fact. I was doing actually a lot of reading on it. Sucker Punch Studios, no, they actually went out to the island of Tsushima to do research.
Of course they did. That's the good way to do it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's
I'm just
actually
saying
funny.
that,
They were actually noticed, and one of the local newspapers reported it on it before they actually made the game announcement. So they had to do do kind of a non-disclosure agreement with the fucking news companies. Like, please don't actually tell any more people about this. But it was fine because it was just a local Tsushima paper.
Yeah. But what I was saying is that, like, especially if you're doing that, right, you're trying to reach an audience that maybe is not the original, or you're trying to do all this research. You want to avoid alienating your audience. That's never what you want to do. You never want to alienate the audience, unless you actually want to alienate the audience. But that's usually the right of, like, horror or thriller writers who are trying to make you go and throw the book away, like it's gross or something. But in general, if you're trying to sweep an audience in and have them follow characters and narratives and stuff, and not just trying to freak them out, you want to do the whole thing and make it applicable. That's right. I had to pause for a second to find that word. Sorry, I am doing the spice maybe less groggy, but I am actually feeling kind of tired. It's weird. I don't know why. I'm sure I slept enough, but whatever. Maybe the sleep roller coaster's catching up with me. But applicability, right? You want to make it so that people can apply it, and the idea of Bushido or the idea of honor in general is definitely a lot easier for people to, like, touchstone and, like, apply than just getting into anything more specific to the time period. Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, the Japanese love it.
It seems popular everywhere, and I do see a lot of Japanese people because I follow a lot of Japanese artists tweeting about it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Actually, Ghosts of Tsushima did break a record. It is the fastest selling new IP, since Horizon Zero Dawn.
It's pretty good.
So, yeah, it's actually been lost around. Let's see here. What other numbers were there? I don't know. Shit, I haven't had a double check. I don't know if it's beat out Last of Us 2, but Last of Us 2 is different because it was the fastest selling numbers for an established IP. Right. It's technically a sequel. And like I said, I've been reading reviews and stuff. Funny enough, there is a subset of the Chinese people who take offense to it. Because clearly, Japanese killing Mongols, who they consider the Chinese people, is very offensive to them.
Yeah, well, that's the Chinese. They're still mad about the Sino-Japanese War.
Oh yeah. But other than
never mind that we really dismantled the fuck out of that culture. But I guess they never said sorry. So
I think we talked about that at length at one point.
Though honestly, talking about, like, China's relationship with the Mongols, that's a We've talked about this before, too, about how China is a clusterfuck historically of just, like, empire building, breaking, fracturing, reunifying, fracturing again, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, because technically the Mongols did conquer all of China, so...
The Mongols conquered a lot. Hold on, let me see if I can pick up... keep talking about that. I'm going to see if I can pick up a good Mongol map.
Yeah, so there's definitely a mindset that, the Mongol people were Chinese, so...
Or rather, the Chinese were conquered by the Mongols at some point.
Yeah.
So let's see. The Mongol Empire at its height from about 1259 to somewhere in the 14th century, the 1300s, stretched from all of the Korean peninsula and all of China down to the Himalayas, not down into Southeast Asia or the Indian subcontinent, but down towards the Indus Valley. So that's about as far south as they went. All the way to Constantinople in the west, past Novgorod and Kiev, so into Central Europe, where the Russians are, and into, like, lower Siberia in the north. Like, it's crazy. I'll copy this image for patrons. There's a lot of room. It's a lot of space.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I personally wouldn't. I know that there would obviously be Chinese conscripts or whatever in the Mongolian army invading Japan of all places, but I gotta be honest. If I was a culture or a people that's not modern day Mongolia, I don't think I'd ever claim ownership of the Mongolian Empire because, man, they're fucking everywhere. Look at this image, guys. Look at this.
And it's kind of hilarious that they got stopped by one tiny island nation. It's kind of mad.
The water's a hell of a drug. They don't show it in this map, but I do know, because that was another OSP thing. They did a video, I think it was last week, on plagues, talked about the start of it, where, and actually there was that story not too long ago about the bubonic plague cropping up in Mongolia again recently, because that's apparently where it comes from, or at least that region of the world. What is it with Asia and the diseases, man? Though, I gotta be honest, I don't know where smallpox came from. That was a big one. But it's on the city's not marked on this map, but it'll be on the border of the North Sea there, which is the ocean to the north of Constantinople. Not Istanbul, Constantinople. But they were backed up to the ocean and had huge walls, so the Mongols had sat outside and besieged the city for like 4 years. And they survived the siege because they were backed up to the ocean with a direct trade route to Constantinople, which then runs out into the Med and all those guys, right? Like, water access is a hell of a drug for a civilization. And by the way, the reason why this came up with the plague is because eventually the Mongols started getting sick and tired, so they started throwing their corpses at the city. They probably didn't realize they were doing biological warfare, they just did it because they were mad, but this did mean that some people did get plaguified, and it transmitted via boats. A familiar story. Though, hey, it's funny to see how, once again, ancient peoples, I should say, not necessarily literally old people, but people got better at this in the past with just a little bit of experience. Because, hey, guess what they did? They did quarantines and stuff. Even in the first bout of bubonic plague, some of the Italian city-states, the major ports, would make sailors stay outside the city for up to 40 days to see if they had signs. Weird, huh? Almost like we fucking solved that problem. Like we knew what we would do. Alas, alack, nobody teaches you that shit in school anymore.
Learn from history!
Or you'll be doomed to repeat it. But yeah, Mongols.
Yeah, and for this part, like, actually it's pretty interesting. Like, one of the collectibles you can get in-game is just Mongol artifacts. So you can literally just find a thing, is like, yeah, here's this, like, fucking Mongol sword, check it out, let me teach you a little bit about it. Or their dogs, or how, like, they, like, prepare their food, or their fermented milk. And it's like, I have learned more about learned more about Mongols than killing a whole bunch of them than I ever actually have in my life. And honestly, I think that's kind of on theme. Because the game starts off with Khotan Khan being all like, I have learned about you people. I have learned your language. I learned how you do war. And it's one of the reasons why he can just completely and utterly fuck up your shit, because when you work in a rigid system, you don't have the flexibility to work outside. That's tiny. Oh, is this their expansion?
Yeah, this is a GIF. It shows the expansion over the years, and then it fragments.
Oh, that's probably what happens. It fragmented.
Yeah, it fragmented.
The Khan probably died.
Yeah, nope. Genghis Khan bit it in there somewhere, and then it fragmented.
That's
just
always
like
what
Alexander.
happens.
Well, you just talked about rigid systems. That's a problem with centralized authority. You can have one guy be an empire builder, but unless he trained a successor, his kids or his lieutenants or whatever are not necessarily guaranteed to have the same charisma or effect on people. That's happened with Alexander the Great. That's happened with some of the Romans. That's happened with civilizations in India, with the Mongols,
China, and
definitely China. Yeah,
it's like, yeah. See, this is why we clearly need an immortal god king or something. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I find it interesting that we basically get to learn more about the Mongols as we continue to kill them. And this, some things have come up. Like I said, like learning about their milk and stuff. Like, I can poison this, and absolutely ruin their day. It was a very ruined day for them. But
poisoning will ruin your day. Lucky 2020.
So yeah, I think that's it for Ghosts of Tsushima. I don't want to wax too much on it. As I said, like, I don't want to risk myself of actually having to spoil something. Lucky's mouth sometimes get dumb. That's how we do. The
game is good. Maybe someday we'll do like a deep Google plot breakdown.
Yes, that'd be fun.
I'm sure I'll pop it. I don't think I have anything else on my docket until October 2nd when Star Wars Squadron comes out for $40. Because they've announced a date and a price point, and I'm there.
Lucky thinks he might want to get Star Wars Squadron, but he's also eyeing Cyberpunk. Just like, how many?
That's still like a month after.
Yeah, I know, but also in October, I got another game coming out, Trails of Cold Steel, which is a JRPG.
Yeah, you're gonna be doing some stuff. Me, I'm gonna fight fighters.
Yeah. Let's see. Actually, can we take a quick break again? I need to run for a second.
Taking an intermission. I remember to hit the right button. Now we're back. And I immediately make a lot of squeaky noises, but don't worry, I'll edit some of them out. By the way, if you guys hear the word clacking sound, Omega's being very physically fidgety. Oh, I should get my fucking fidget spinner. I own one of those. But I've been rolling around my D20s a lot. And that might be bringing up his hand busy. I rolled a 10 and a 4, Lucky.
Oh, no.
And that was a 3 and a 15. Yeah, that's me. That's me right there. That's me with D20s.
Yeah.
That's the Omega roll. Either I roll nothing or it's fucking explosive. Usually what at least matters, or I at least want it. Oh, we're just trying to softball. We're doing what a character would do and attack somebody, 50 million damage. Okay, well, you're dead. I've killed you. I didn't want to do that, but
I just wanted to boop the snoot.
And then it's like, oh, I'm going to do something cool. I'm going to fuck your shit up. I rolled, 1 success and 3 threat. So, I guess you, do a cool pose after that, I guess. Yeah. Usually how it goes for me. Well, since you're done talking about Ghosts of Tsushima, I think that's the only thing left for us to talk about is tabletop stuff, at least that I want to talk about, unless you got something else in the hopper.
No, not really. No.
Okay, he thought about it. Yeah, so Gensekai stuff, ticking away, working on both fluff and mechanics.
Yeah.
I have been working my way through the Archdemon stuff, which I wasn't really... I wanted to do it because, one, I wanted to just because I love cosmology and world building, but also, I think kind of the tone I started taking with these is there's not as many paragraphs. They're only two halves as opposed to the Scions were all 3 to kind of break down the different levels. But the general theme is I talk about physically what they look like, because that lets me... all of the names and a lot of the descriptions about what they do and their physical descriptions are usually taken straight from Ars Goetia stuff, but that's also really, really cool. I do have Buer, the Chimera, the Archdemon of Ferocity. That's the one that has 5 goat legs and a lion head, so it's pretty rad if you've seen him. So I was I took some of those to mind when I wrote some of these. Do some interesting stuff. Some of them I changed. I think Gop, who in this case is the Archdemon of Necromancy. I think he was just a guy or an angel or something. I made him a giant skeleton because that was cooler. Mm-hmm. You got to spice them up a little bit. That's the general theme. But they're broken into 2 sections, which is here's what they look like, kind of reminding you who they oppose and how they oppose them. And then a little bit about their general personality plans and kind of where they sit in the politics of hell. Because that's kind of the thing. All the archdemons and the fallen goddess Minim and all those people got thrown in hell. We literally made a whole new space prison to throw them in. So what did they do? They got a lot of space, but the real estate sucks. And a lot of these and then that goes into the second bit where I talk about what kind of demons they lead, and then what their space in hell is like, their circle or county in hell. And it's called hell with a capital H. Sometimes it's called the infernal prison, but I just stick with hell, it's easier. And one that lets me kind of do the fun, ironic hell kind of stuff. For example, the first one, because these are also alphabetical, is Agares, the Returner, Archdemon of Terror, who is, in the Ars Goetia, is depicted as an old guy riding a crocodile. In this case, he's just a crocodile. But if you were ever to speak to Agares, he actually would probably be somewhere down here. Yes. Quite, yes. Just run in terror for me, thank you. Excuse me. Give me just my monocle. So
yeah, he's give that croc a monocle.
Yeah, he's a giant crocodile who talks and walks like a man. So that's part of why he's existentially terrifying. But so his big thing is fear. So he's all about causing the terror. So he settled in Phobos, the swamp of fear in hell. And they created that by damming a reservoir, a river, which is important because I've noted that geologically, hell is kind of super underground. Theoretically, I think if you dug to the center of Sphira, the globe, you would arrive in hell. You wouldn't actually arrive in hell because there's a giant wall and river of fire, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They'd keep you out. They got people for that. The mall cops would keep you out. But they don't. It's not meant to be necessarily existentially shitty down there. Kind of a little bit, but mostly it's just bad. So rivers and lakes and stuff are kind of a big... Yeah, kind of. Rivers and lakes and stuff are kind of a big deal. So the fact that, one, Agares dammed a river just so he could have an ice-cold swamp full of muck. Kind of a bad move. But also, he's a huge crocodile man. And it's mentioned, damned souls will maybe wander into the swamp and be like, oh, what's going on here? And then they get chased by Agares and all his demon followers, his hellhounds and his furies and all that stuff. The bounty hunters of hell, as they're sometimes called. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of fun with titles and names.
I don't know, I got when I was reading, I was like, this gives me kind of some Wild Hunt vibes here,
Yeah, though there is actually a Wild Hunt.
Yeah.
There's multiple stuff, but it's interesting how you can build some multiple mythologies, because in some cases the Wild Hunt guys are like demons.
Mm-hmm.
But Agarias himself is a huge crocodile. The ground literally shakes as he walks. He's never going to catch anybody in this fucking swamp.
But that's not the point.
Yeah, he's just for the terror, but it is also kind of got the demonic thing of shooting yourself in the foot. Like, a lot of the archdemons would probably be a lot more scarier to creation if they could get their shit together, but they were made by a fallen deity who fell because she was super obsessed with her own eccentricities, basically. Her own autistic vision. So naturally, all of the archdemons are, like, kind of shitty and out of control. You know? Ashtaroth, Demon of Vanity, her place is the Burning Plain, Planum Ardenti, where literally she found a beautiful white sand desert that is so hot, because it's in hell, that it burns even a demon's feet, but she's like, I'm gonna build a fucking city here. Great. Why would you do that? Nobody can come visit. But it's pretty, so we did it. Got the whole thing. So that's kind of one of it, but also the thing I was just thinking about while writing these is like, no, one, this gives me a lot of excuse to write adversary profiles later, build fun enemies, like, because kind of the thing that you can do for some of these guys is, like, you might whistle them up and actually, like, evil creatures could summon an actual one of these lesser demons, you know? They squeak out, or they tempt people to let them out. And, you know, kind of explain where some of these fiendish creatures that really shouldn't be proper mobs, not, like, actually made by the gods to, like, fit a place in the natural order, but, you know, freaky hell creatures can show up, and that's good for building interesting designs, because I do think that Star Wars and Genesis do kind of live and die a little bit about doing unique gameplay stuff with encounters, because if you just fought minions all the time, like if you guys just fought B1 droids in Clone Wars, or the equivalent in Gensekai would be just fighting basic bitch skeletons, I think they're going to have similar stat lines.
Oh, yeah.
That would get kind of dull and repetitive. So, you need some interesting stuff to do some weird things, have some different stats, do some weird shit. But also, it's just, much like a lot of the just little plot bits I hid in the geography section, it's good world building to just be like, okay, so the Forces of Darkness, they're trying to be all monolithic and creepy, they have their own internal politics, and they all have different stuff. Like, I mentioned Gop earlier, the Archlich, or Archlich, whichever one you prefer. You should probably do it either way, either the hard K or the ch sound. But neither is canonically true because there's no pronunciation guide, so you can say it both ways in the same game. Mm-hmm. Just because that'll be even more funny. But, like, for instance, he's noted as having a huge, huge number of legions of demons and stuff. They're all scrub tier. He's literally quantity over quality. Like, his plan for taking over creation is just to let the undead outnumber the living. I'll just keep raising skeletons and ghouls and wights and shit until eventually we just kill them all. So he's not in any hurry to do anything. Right? So, like, that kind of sets up some tones and stuff. But on the other hand, this also is like, well, okay, if you run into some necromancers, well, who are they worshipping? Well, they're probably, like, Gap cultists. You know, because that is a thing I do appreciate sometimes about a lot of, even though it can get weird that, like, every evil race has their own evil god in D&D and stuff. At the same time, that lets you build different cultures, pantheons, and kind of do those differences. So, like, you know, necromancers who pray to the archdemon of necromancy, king of the undead, they will act differently than, you know, mercenaries and slavers who pray to Bareth, the archdemon of bondage, kind of stuff, right? So that was something that I kind of hit on while I was writing sections, like, oh yeah, motivation and world building for GMs, because theoretically somebody might look at this someday and go, oh, well, maybe I want to do some stuff. Because even without the outsider stuff, though, I did add a preface thing under all the setting worksheet, the section 0 stuff about building an outsider character, one that actually makes sure you know all the steps to character creation, just to double check. But also, 2, to actually, like, outline all the stuff about being isekai'd and all that, because that was apparently a question mark to some people. So I wanted to iron out some stuff. There's a decent amount of just, like, there's no one true answer, but also a decent amount of, like, okay, but for real, though, somewhere in this ballpark. Pitch it in this ballpark, please. Even if there's no bullseye. But adventurers and all the different free race cultures and stuff like that, the alliance of free races, it's explicitly noted, they all generally get along, but they have differences of opinions on how stuff works, right? And they all have different things. That was another thing I did in the cosmology section, was I got prompted by something else. I think Vesper was talking about a calendar, because we had specific dates, so I was like, shit, I need to make a calendar. It's a great world building opportunity. Hey, guess what? when your organization of deities is literally based on the zodiac, that's really fucking easy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 13 months. Each month is exactly 28 days long, 4 weeks. Which, by the way, with 13 months means that there's 364 days every year.
Oh.
Which is nice. I appreciate there's a lot of, regimented similarity, but at the same time, it's like, when you're an outsider and you're first incarnated and you're looking at the fucking calendar, you're like, there's exactly 28 days every month? That seems weird. But this is
weird, but also, that also slightly pleases me and sounds like, yes, uniformity.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, no, because this was made by gods who made literal capital R rules. So yeah, no, it's very organized.
Mm-hmm.
But I noted while there's 7 days a week, and I named them all. There's Solistag, Lunatag, Tarotag, Aquatag, Edentag, Aerotag, and Aethertag. Tag is like Esperanto for day, so it worked out. That's Sunday, Moon Day, and then Earth, Water, Fire, Air, and Ether Day. It worked out well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty respectable thing, and then I actually broke down. So I gave some different names, depending on how fantasy you want to be. The old Lemurian names are very Roman. So for instance, this is actually a little bit funny right now, but that's how it's built. The month of Verna, because I know Lucky will be very interested in that.
Mm.
That's, actually, the order of the months is different. I'll talk about that in a second. I was talking about, cultures being organized. But in Old Lemurian, that's Corona Rosa, which in Common is translated very literally as Rose Crown. And then in the Elven language, that would be something like Florocap, or Florocape. Elves, they flow. Most of my Elven is taken from Esperanto or Italian and shit. It's funny that way. So you got some different names depending on how hardcore you want to be. If you want to just be Skyrim, you can just be Spring's Dawn, Rose Crown, Moon Song, High Summer, shit like that.
Wow.
Or you can be super Roman, because by the way, in case you guys forgot, all of your month names are super Roman in origin.
Yeah, they are.
October, the 8th one. And actually they're organized that way because the year used to end in December, but there was a calendar issue, which, by the way, Gaius Julius Caesar solved. That was one of his big reforms, is he literally reformed the calendar, which is part of the reason why July is named after him. That used to be whatever 7 would be. Or not even 7, that would be 5, right? Because September is 7. Anyway, you know what I mean. He added whatever January and February are to make the calendar actually make sense and stop fucking around.
Hang on one second.
He's hanging on. Okay, we're back.
Mm.
I hung on for a second because I was directly talking to you. But yeah, so there's some Roman-ass names for months. And then there's some weird fantasy mumbo-jumbo, aka Esperanto names for other stuff. Because it sounds... That's the thing about Esperanto being a constructed language, though it was constructed by trying to kind of get to the root of a lot of Romance languages.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds kind of made up at points. But anyway, it works out. But so I mentioned that the order of the months is not set, because that's actually a thing that we deal with. So there's actually different calendars which organize different stuff. So the current Holy Lemurian calendar, which is what most humans do, is that the year starts in the month of Chryso, Spring's Dawn, and ends in the month of Aphros, Hearthblaze. AKA it starts in March, when spring starts, because why the fuck doesn't your year start when spring starts? I don't actually know. It's probably to do with the orbit of the Earth, because we have different solstices, which are equidistance and stuff. But yeah, from a cultural standpoint, why wouldn't you have a year start in spring? That seems when things start, right?
Yeah, it's when you start planting.
The Old Lemurian and the Dwarfish calendars actually have the year start in Frostbreak, the month of Aqua, which would be probably January equivalent, because they're listen, based on astrology and numbers and shit, that's when the year starts. And then the Longu and Elfin calendars are, they're more lunar based, so they have kind of a different place on when they start based on the moon, so they could begin, usually in Hearthblaze, but as early as Frostbreak or as late as Spring's Dawn. And then I actually broke down the seasons. There's exactly 4 months to every season, with the 13th month being swing month, basically. Much like how we have the whole Groundhog Day kind of shit. Hearthblaze could be an extra month of winter, or it could be an early month of spring. I could run through all the names, but I won't bore everybody. They're fun, though. Check them out.
Fun.
Some of them are very esoteric. The month of Dio, deity of death, is just called Repose.
Yeah, no, I got some of them. Lucky might have kicked a little bit.
Yeah. I spent a solid too many hours working on this, yeah.
I'm sorry, Month of Mirror, though, Frigidome, kind of got me laughing a little bit. I'm not sure why.
It's well, funnily, I'm pretty sure that is a very literal Latin for what the common translation cold home is.
But still, it's just like Frigidome. I'm like,
Frigidome. Yeah, it's fun. Frostbreak is Hybridus Finite. And our fan base would probably find Prima Stella, because it's got Stella in it funny, but that's high star. And interesting enough, in Old Lemurian, the way that it just works out is the name of the month of Ueno, which is balance and common, is just Libra, which is funny. Mm-hmm. But hey, that's how it works.
Seems very no nonsense. It's like I said, I don't know, but like you do have physical descriptions, but I still just imagine Ueno with just fucking secretary glasses, just constantly adjusting them.
No, that is intended. That's working as that's design working as intended. Mm-hmm. Also, yes, Axe mentioned this. You totally could fight about what year it actually is, because there's different yearing systems, too. Mm-hmm. The Holy Lemurian calendar is divided into before Schism, BS, and post-Schism, PS, because, yes, I am a child. But this has a very strict interpretation of when the fall of Old Lemuria occurred, so it's not necessarily super accurate. Like, there was some transitional period, whatever. The Adventurers Guild usually uses that system because the early years of post-Schism roughly coincide with when it was founded, so it works out great. Whereas the Elps and Dwarfs have a very, broad-based age calendar where, so the Dwarfs, for instance, they're currently in the Age of Sundering, and they're waiting for the signs to be right so it can be the Age of Reforging. Because Dwarfs are all about lost legacy, and they've lost shit underground or something. That's always what happens with Dwarfs. And Longu has its own calendar, the Imperial calendar, because they've been going. But their start date is when their empire was founded, so it's not necessarily, the most accuratest. Calendars are fun, kids.
It's wild.
But yeah, so that was a big sidebar I did. Mm-hmm. And I've been slowly working, and occasionally I drop other notes. I added a new skill, but it's mostly for NPCs. Because as I was writing some of the Archdemon stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of discussing how they can do powers and give favors to people, or they have these powers of their own and their followers have similar powers. How am I going to model that? And I was just like, fuck it, magic. Because that's a really easy way to handle it. And honestly, I think, especially the way that some of these things, because the holy effect in spell attack is called holy/unholy. So It could be unholy. But that doesn't really work for this system, right? Or this setting, rather, I should say. There is... so the Ketis deity, Kuhi, is, the primordial chaos god. But in general, there's only one evil deity. And while I'm sure theoretically you could have some people who are super dedicated to her and have faith with a capital F and actually do evil magic shit with divine, in general, that's not how it works. Archdemons are not the same thing, and so are not other demons. So I created a new skill, Demonology, which is basically just a magic skill. But it's like divine but evil, hence why it's still based on willpower. And basically, it's a good way to kind of... One, it has a slightly different spell list. Like, for instance, unlike divine, it can't do healing. But it can do conjure. Oh. Because demons. So I moved around some of the different spells they can use. I noted that for spell effects, they always use knowledge outside rather than knowledge rules, because that makes sense. You're about breaking the rules. Mm-hmm. And so it gives enemies a slightly different paradigm, but also lets them access the magic system without outright just being, evil, or at least opposing arcana, I should say, arcane casters or primal casters. So that was kind of a different thing. And I do note that's not normally a career skill for people, so you normally can't, if you're a player character, you normally can't use it. There will be a couple in the prestige classes, the advanced classes, that will get demonology on their skill list.
Oh, wild.
But it'll only be a couple. It'll be Warlock and Necromancer, by the way, in case that wasn't obvious to people checking that list. Necromancer will have it sprinkled in with regular arcane magic. Warlock will just be, even though it's located in Shaman, it will just be a spec that is just, this is actually just your being an evil wizard spec with demonology, being a devil summoner. But I do note there's some fluff stuff, because I haven't written it yet, but that's the section that's coming after I get through all the archdemons, is I'm actually going to talk about the mechanics of magic. And this is actually discussed in Genesis in some places about magic, how you can have, narrative requirements. So I've kind of outlined that by talking about the different faiths and structures of the deities, but I'm going to, double down on that in actually talking about divine magic and be like, no,
I'm
like to
excited
do
about that.
divine magic, you have to have the favor of your deity. You access it by possessing faith and by doing certain ritual prayers, ceremonies, gestures, etc., making offerings, whatever.
Oh yeah, Lucky's all about that. Like, Lucky's been doing a lot of deep thoughts on what being a priest of Verna is all about.
Yeah, so I'm
And
gonna,
it's just like-
not necessarily specifically that, but I'm gonna be like, okay, if you're a divine caster, this is how magic casting works for you. And it does mean you actually have to kind of sort of follow your deity.
Mhm.
And if you are a divine caster and you ever pick up demonology and use it, you are probably losing the favor of your god. That's just how that works. You're not supposed to do that. That's against the rules. If you want to do quick and clean magic that anybody can do, that's arcane. That's, you literally need to study books and memorize spell patterns, secret words, secret symbols, and because the way arcane works is you're basically it's kind of like hacking reality. You're like using exploits in the rules that were discovered to cause something to happen which should be unnatural but really isn't. Like arguably even arcane magic follows the rules, it just follows them in weird exploity ways. Like when you throw a fireball, that still kind of acts like how fire should, but normally fire doesn't come out of nowhere and kind of explode. But, if you know the right sequence of gestures, the right ritual phrases, you can make it happen. And primal is you're asking the spirits of nature that are just the elemental spirits that are part of everything to do it for you. It's like, you don't throw that fireball, you ask a passing spirit of fire to be like, hey, can you light those guys on fire for me? And he's like, I got you, dog. And then Verse will be very interesting because Verse is kind of all the stuff. It's a really weird system, especially because it's presence-based, that's basically... it's very Orphic, it's very Orpheus, where it's just like, maybe a passing angel or deity hears your music and is like, I'm gonna do them a solid, I'm moved to tears. Maybe you conjure a spirit, maybe a ritual poem you learned actually is a magic spell kind of thing. It's very weird and flowy, and I think fits the bardic ethos a lot. But demonology is, no, that's just straight up, that's just bargaining with evil stuff.
Deal with the devil.
Just be like, hey, can you do me a solid? And they have their own kind of, they're based on a lot of similar stuff, but they have their own tables for difficulties. Like, they can do the unholy version of attack spells, so they can, if they're attacking a positive aligned creature, they can do extra damage. They can increase your wound threshold with infernal constitution. They can make divine creatures back off with a barrier, stuff like that. And you'll probably see a decent amount of demonology skills and a couple of special abilities tied to certain adversary profiles when I get down there, which will be eventually. I think it's probably one of my big mechanical things is after I do all that.
Yeah,
So we're ticking along. Got a lot of fluff stuff to do. Got fluff and mechanics. I've also been ticking through what I'm calling the advanced or prestige classes.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to note, though, is also I think I've got my final lineup for archetypes. Because people were asking about, like, presence-based stuff, and I was racking my brain. So I finally kind of pulled the trigger on something I thought about. So there is now another new archetype after Construct, which is Jin. That's just with a J. It could be Jinny with the DJI, but it's just Jin right now. And I kind of alluded to that earlier, but I kind of found a good scheme for this. So, the backstory of Jin is that they used to be elemental spirits who, like, existed all the time. And when the gods made the new world, they're like, hey, cool, permanent world. I love this. It's great. There's a lot of nature here. But they were kind of sassy pants, and they didn't really understand this whole, hey, why are you letting all these mortals run around and fuck shit up? So they were like, nah, we're not gonna listen to you. And then the gods were like, oh, really now? Who's in charge here? Do you feel in control here? So the Jinn are spirits who were basically, long ago, their bloodlines or whatever were cursed or burdened with mortality. So they have physical bodies now, and eventually they die. And they live in a really isolated place out in the desert that most people don't go, and they kind of stick to themselves because they're kind of weird and elementally. And they are Presence 3, Cunning 1 starting setup. They're still a little haughty and proud, so they're not necessarily super sharp on the uptake, but they're very charming, and they can even take Charm as one of their initial ranks, or they can take Primal. And they've got slightly less brawn, but slightly more willpower. Their special ability is Spirit Speaker. Whenever you try to locate or communicate with a spirit or similar creature, you add automatic success to your check. If a spirit provides you or another character assistance at your direction, they add an additional boost die, so they get the double assist feature. Because you're kind of sort of part spirit. And that kind of touched on some different mechanics than how Elps work. Because Elps are ended up being much more about the land than about the spirit, so Jinner kind of do this, and physically, they look mostly like humans, but they have, vibrant skin colors and stuff. So they're that kind of, I think, hits a mechanical niche while not necessarily stepping outside of my pre-established mythos. And mechanically, I've been working through. So fighter, monk, and priest are all done in the advanced classes. And you've had some very interesting interests in the priestess.
Oh yeah, well, like I said, like Porter. Like, I know, like, we keep telling people, like, this game ain't happening, like, anytime soon at all, but it's still something I'm super excited about, so I like...
Well, and this is usually what happens when you get interested in my projects. The theory crafting and the discussion and the questions, and this isn't just lucky, this is when other players get interested too. God, Ron helped me develop so much MHR because he just kept asking questions. This is important, though, to writers, is you need editors and readers to ask questions to think about things. So this prompts a lot of discussion out of me, even if it's not happening for a while. Sorry, just a drink of water there.
Yeah, but usually talking to you about it usually is what helps you keep at it.
Yes, keep at it, and also it helps me because part of the keeping at it is keeping fresh ideas running and churning. So asking me questions that prompts me to think about things, and usually once I start thinking about something, I'll come up with something else to add, and I'll throw that in, as evidenced by lots of random conversations I've had about stuff. Like the calendar thing literally came up because Vesper talked about how we talked about this a little bit last week, but they were kind of getting overwhelmed by keeping track of a homebrew world in D&D and like all the factions and geography and shit and building the session-to-session stuff. So we moved campaign settings, so now we're in Wildmount. That's a retcon, by the way. We didn't literally get teleported to Wildmount or something. But that has a lot of fluff in it, because that's the Critical Role campaign setting. And Matt Mercer is apparently a savage animal. That's why the calendar thing came up, because apparently there are names for all the months and everything. And just like, okay, all right. But that was just a conversation that just got me thinking, shit, I should come up with a dating system. I can come up with some fun stuff. Like, I remember Skyrim has, fun names for all the months and whatever. So I'm like, okay, all right, I can do that. And then I spent like 2 hours doing all the researching and translating, like an absolute madman.
Mad lad.
Well, that's what happens when I get an idea. But yeah, so you have been theorizing about Porter stuff, and you've been very interested in the priest ones, because those are in career.
Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, I started thinking about it, it's all like, now that I think about it, like, me being a priest of Verna might be a little weird, because as like we were talking about, let me actually pull up Verna, the mater here. Verna, while she is very much the primary sign of Earth, is also growth of motherhood. Things that you usually associate with, the female, with the female, especially with like things of pregnancy and whatnot. But at the same time, I was looking, like, again, reading through it, it's just like, yeah, but it's also going to be associated with, like, animal husbandry and whatnot. So it can swing there. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, so what does Porter do in his day-to-day fucking priesthood? And he's like, he probably, like, travels a lot. He walks the earth. He goes to see all that Mother Verna has to offer, and offer aids where he can. And so next thing I was wondering is like, all right, so where does Porter offer aid? And I was like, well, he got a couple ranks of medicine. He could actually be kind of a veterinarian. He can go to ranch houses and be all like, behold, I am a priest of Verna. Let me tend to your animals. Let me give you blessings upon these days. And so that's like when I was looking at your prestige class, I'm like, all right, so what best fits that? And honestly, Shrinekeeper really fits it. So Omega wrote the 3 prestige classes for priests. It's Bishop, Oracle, and Shrinekeeper. And let's see, how do he write them? Bishop is just what it is. It's just big church man.
Yeah, and the reason why Bishop is ranked there are a couple of ones that are ranked as Bishop is kind of twofold. One, it's interesting, even though it's in the priest, which is a magic class. It does not have magic as its own career skill. So if you buy out of career with Bishop, you don't get access to divine.
Yeah.
And it has no spellcasting related talents. It is all social combat stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah. But it also reflects.
But the second thing is that it's a literal rank up. Like I even noticed in the description. Yeah, people don't usually pop. They don't usually spawn and get their character sheet, and like at puberty they pull out their sheet and like, oh, what's my job gonna be? I'm a bishop as a 13-year-old kid. No, that's not how that works. You usually don't have the stat spread for that when you're 12. And if you do, that's kind of a big deal. So yeah, I think you were getting at you're not necessarily super interested in following that because it's big church man.
Big church man, and like I said, I'm building Porter to be a man who wanders around and is trying to get the big comfy clothes with his scion. So then you wrote Oracle, and I was like, oh, well, this one's actually Oracle is real interesting because it's like as you put it the other day, it's all about story point manipulation.
Yeah, it's big on the narrative manipulation.
Yeah. Like, it has skills like dramatic entrance and dramatic escape, which literally you spend a story point and you can just enter or exit a scene. I'm just like, no, that's great.
And I think some other specs will have them. I think it may be that Oracle's and there's also improved versions of dramatic entrance. I didn't add those because they didn't fit. Like, dramatic entrance improved is like, and you can have all allies heal 2 strain and all enemies take 2 strain. I'm like, that doesn't sound like an Oracle. That sounds like, that's probably going to go in like Corsair. Just be like, I'm here, swashbuckle, boom. But I think Oracle might end up being the only one that has both dramatic entrance and exit, like an escape. So yeah, no, you can just be, I'm here, I'm not here.
But yeah, but it also has like a couple ranks of dodge, fucking defensive. Like it's very nice. Like, see, 1, 2, 3 ranks of rapid reaction, just right there at the beginning. Like 2 of them are right on the range.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make sure. Really wanted to make sure to be like, yeah, no, this. If you're playing an Oracle, you were all about somebody is going first and somebody is going to be in this scene. And also, don't hit me. Don't touch me.
Yeah, don't touch me. No touch.
2 dodge defensive. No, you can't.
No
and
touch.
then they've also got a unique talent, Danger Sense. Once per session, you can, as an incident, I'll just be like, I don't want these 2 black dice on this check. Get them out of here. I knew that would be bad. And then they've got abilities like Contingency Plan. If you fail a check you spend a story point on, you can immediately flip the story point back. Fortune Favors. Once per session, I believe it's as a maneuver. That's all in all new talents. But you can basically suffer 2 strain, just flip a point back. Foresight, you can, once per round, you can suffer 2 strain to just create a temporary story point, which is actually interesting because there are rules for that. Temporary story points just go away, they don't flip. You can't use it if there's another temporary point in the pool, but you can basically just add an extra story point to your side. And then I have seen it, once per session, you can take an action to declare a narrative fact as if you had spent a story point. And in the full description of the talent, it's like, you should make sure to fluff this as like somehow you got some kind of like divine guidance or revelation or whatever. Like the fact was made true because your god covered it for you or told you about it or something.
But the one that so that's Oracle, which was before Omega wrote Shrine was like, all right, this seems pretty good. But then he wrote Shrine Keeper, and I was all like, this gives me what I want, but also So you built Shrine Keeper as kind of a survival range build.
Yeah, it's basically, hey, well, this is the thing that actually, because you talked a lot about reading over Verna, there are quite a few priesthoods and religions of the Scions which aren't normal as like we think of. Like, if you're a frickin' priest of Pabil, you're basically a druid. Like, you don't, Pabil's the Scion of the Wild and the Hunt. You don't go into town and, like, praise him. No, you sacrifice a deer at midnight and some standing stones outside of town, right? That's how that works.
Yeah.
So Shrine Keeper is meant to model kind of this non-standard, slightly synergistic kind of blend of like, okay, no, you're literally like a traveling priest or you're handling isolated structures. You're not like big churchman. And yes, they are strongly a ranged combat wilderness kind of build. I think they're the only divine spec that gets access to Elementalist, for instance.
Yes. Which is interesting. But, so it has, 100, like, fucking, Sacred Arrows is wild, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, so I made substitution abilities for every stat but willpower, so I was like, I'm gonna fix that.
Yeah.
Sacred Arrows, you can, when using performing a ranged combat check with a bow, you can use willpower instead of agility, which is your casting stat as a divine caster. Funny how that works. Oh, yeah, and to incentivize you, because a bow normally takes 2 hands, you can also increase your base damage with attack spells equal to your ranks in the range skill. And then just under that, you have battle casting, which means you don't take setback dice for not having a hand free. So, yeah, it incentivizes you to carry a bow and also do magic. Very strongly.
Oh, yeah, because you also get, like, hamstring shot, precision archery, rapid archery, homing arrows.
That's another unique talent. Exploit also applies to ranged attacks, too. You can do some pinning.
Like I said, like, when I first saw it, I was all like, oh, Porter's not going to be super ranged, but why not, I guess? Because I
Well,
said,
and remember, the thing with talent trees is I haven't sketched these out with connecting lines, but
yeah.
that will probably be there will be distinct sides or halves to the tree where, especially because Elementalist is very interesting. You never want to have anything only require to go into that because once you pick it, that's it. You're locked into Elementalist. So, for instance, I haven't drawn it yet, but I can tell you right now, that line will just be Forager 5 XP, Elementalist under at 10 XP. Elementalist doesn't go anywhere else. You can completely avoid it if you don't want to go down that route.
Well, again, that's me wondering, because let me read out Elementalist. So the quick thing for Elementalist is when a character purchases content, choose one of the following effects and associated elements: fire for fire, ice for water, impact for earth, lightning for air. When your character casts the attack spell, they always add the added effect without increasing the difficulty, but never may add any of the other 3 effects. Yep. Because in the Genesis system, spells are completely fluffy. You basically just add modifiers and that adjusts the difficulty, and a lot of the fun of it is getting things to remove difficulty so you can cast things easier.
And that's what a lot of talents and magic implements do, is they if you add this effect, you don't increase the difficulty. There's another one that they have, is you can use I believe it's a maneuver, but strength keepers have access to a new talent I made, distant casting. You can use the talent. The first time you would add the range effect to increase the range, it doesn't increase difficulty. So you can always, for free,
cast that short.
Yeah.
Actually,
I believe for attack starts at short, so I think it goes to medium.
Oh, okay.
Close combat is a different ability, which to do it at something engaged. If you want shocking grasp somebody. But yeah, so it means that you have a distance, which is good, because you're probably far away, shooting arrows at people.
Mm-hmm. Or casting buffs.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. But when I was looking at elements, I was like, okay, so I can't use it in anything else for attack, but can I use it for utility spells? Because that's one of the things I've been wondering about with the science. Is I have the big horny energy for Verna, but can I still invoke the other scions? Say I wanted to fill a pool with water, but can I yo, Aqua, can I get some water over here? And she's like, nah, you and Verna score, get out of here.
I would say, haven't written this fluff yet, but based on what I've got in my mind, I'm going to say, yeah, probably. It's just that's not, especially if you're doing quick and dirty casting, that's not usually what you rely on, right?
Yeah.
Because as a priest, and especially if you have a decent, no rules or no geography or whatever, or the divine skill even, because that relates to divine spellcasting, you would know all the proper rituals, prayers, and offerings to give all the different deities to have them do stuff, but you don't have faith in them. You don't have that special quality. So you can kind of call on them and you know the right things to say, but it's not if you are a priest of Verna, for instance, if you yell out in the middle of a crisis, Aqua, protect me! That's not going to do anything. Yeah. And in fact, Verna might get slightly huffy. You called out her sister. If you're a priest of Aqua in a fight and you call, Aqua, protect me! Aqua might huck a thunderbolt at that guy. She might go, oh shit! Fuck, that's one of mine.
My dude!
Get him!
Well, no, I've already fully decided that, no, in combat specifically, Porter is all Earth, all the time, all Verna, but, in camping or whatnot...
Yeah, but if you want to just be dear sweet Lady Arachleon, Lady of the Forge, please light my fucking campfire.
And, pay your huge respects to, all the scions, because... Well, Verna's number one. They all are important in the Pantheon and have the things to do. I remember joking to one of the characters, a guy who said he was going to be, just constantly sleeping. Is so clearly I need to petition Karka to remove his protection on your dream, so you just have nothing but fucking nightmares. And he was just shit.
He's got me, fuck. Because yes, that is Lucky is definitely studying the metaphysics, because that is an actual thing. That is... When you are dreaming, you are visiting Karka's realm.
Yeah.
The moon. You literally have moon dreams. And now, normally, Karka and his dream buddies watch out for you. Or her, actually, because Karka's a multifold deity. It can be all kinds of fun stuff. Moon deities, guys. But Karka's posse usually watches out for you in your dreams, so shit doesn't get too freaky and you don't get, invaded by demons. Like it's fucking Dark Souls or something. But, yeah, no, that could... Especially because I'm pretty sure you can cast Curse with Divine.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you could totally haunt somebody's shit and just be I curse you to have bad sleep. Ah, shit.
But, fuck, I can't remember her name. Lucky hasn't committed them all to memory yet.
Okay, that's why I wrote a book. Which one are you thinking about? Which ones?
Aphros, the
yeah.
Dominia. It's like when he cooks, he's all like, give thanks to fucking Aphros and be like, blessings upon this meal and whatnot. Because I actually found this funny. I didn't actually, I don't know why I did this, but I kind of skipped over it. But porks are clearly good at cooking to begin with. It was just like, oh, neat. So, because I have definitely sold myself as like, yeah, I'm gonna be a fucking cook.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like Aphros for like cooking, and like the home Aqua for like water and stuff. Fucking Chrysopher. Like actually, like I had a moment where thinking about Chryso and the relationship with Verna. It was just all like I'm like at one point in game I want to visit the breadbasket. Like in the height of the summer months when you would just have fucking fields of wheat just swaying in the wind and be like, behold the love between Chrysor and Verna, this golden grain.
Yeah.
Also,
yes, by the way, Lucky's not joking. There's literally a region in the Middlelands called the breadbasket. Remember, this setting is very tongue-in-cheek.
Yes, it is. But because like I said, like I'm really into this fluff, especially with the Scions and the relationship with each other and relationships with the land. It's something that like there's a lot of them, but since they have such clearly defined roles, it's easy to think of stuff because, like as you said, like while you have a lot of things here like written, like nothing is like what's the word? It's not like it's fuck, I can't think of the damn word.
I was just gonna say nothing is final yet. It's not complete.
Yeah.
It's still a living document, basically.
Yeah.
If we were gonna harken back to that earlier conversation.
Yeah, so like I can come up with like fun ideas on my own and stuff and plan them. I'm like, yeah, no, this is good, and it keeps me hyped.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I was thinking with Porter is Porter's race is naturally kind of aggressive. Like actually, it actually says in the document that porks in the quote unquote wild usually get into warring rower bands and they rape and pillage. So that probably means that Porter, even though he is a good, gentle boy, he still likes to have a nice tumble now and then. So he might go to brothels when he is in town, but because guess what? He's a priest of the Verna, he probably, gives medical examinations and whatnot to the women there who maybe can't afford it normally. I don't know. Like, here's the other thing. I don't know how fucking dark and seedy some areas of the land are.
Probably some. There's a lot of talk about, like, for instance, in the Polis League, which is, again, fantasy Italian city-states are the coolest. No, they're very much about coin and money and stuff. And, Aphros, for instance, is specifically against selling of affection, but that's because she's the marriage and family deity, but others, not so much. And it really depends. And I'm kind of thinking that, I think I've referenced this in one of the items you can buy now is what's it called? Is it the Adventurer's Guide? Where's the gear tab? Thank God they let me have outlines. I'd never find fucking anything in this document otherwise. Yeah, it's the Adventuring Guide. So the Adventuring Guide is basically a guidebook published by the Adventurers Guild, but in addition to all the other stuff, it contains secret ciphers in the back that let you know about safe houses, shortcuts, dangerous areas, and even where maybe you can get some goods on the DL if you need them. So it gives you success advantage on all streetwise and no geography checks, but only when operating in a town or area well known to the guild. So, like, now, the Adventurers Guild probably covers all that stuff one way or another. Like, they understand adventurers. After you've spent all day, wrestling wyverns or stabbing chimeras that have these weird goat heads that talk to you in language about, all that stuff, they're like, no, you need a fucking bath, and maybe you need a bottle of booze, and maybe you need a lay. I don't know if I could put that in goods and services, but maybe that's more negotiable.
That's it.
I did make sure to put bath in there. By the way, a bath is rarity 1 gold. That includes public bathhouses and private bathing.
Oh, actually, that reminds me. I was looking at the description, but I'm not sure. Do pork actually look like pig beastmen, or do they look like something different?
Kind of. They look beastmen are mostly kimonomimi, basically. Like they have animal ears or tails or both. They may have sharp, claws. They may have very pointy teeth. if you're one of the non-mammalian types, which are rare but do exist, you might have slight lizard scales or something. The ovine beastman, that's sheep, is literally called Fluffy, so I assume that they actually have maybe have a little bit of body wool in places.
Yeah, well, does here's an image. Pork does. Do the pork look like this?
Yeah, that would be the direction. Maybe a little cuter than that.
Okay,
but yeah, it's hold on, what is that? It is it's really the same. So,
sir,
that's the orc monster girl, by the way. That's not quite right either, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Definitely a little bit more of the pug nose look than that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, yeah, it's in that kind of. There's a little bit of the cutesy anime vibe, to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's and I think actually they might be a little bit more like fantasy orcs if I remember. I gotta double check my note because they might just have pointed ears rather than floppy.
No, you say floppy.
Okay, they are floppy. Okay,
yeah.
I gotta double check my own stuff. Yeah. Porks are tall, thick set, slightly longer and floppy ears.
Yeah,
tusks in the lower jaw. So some of them are probably like that first image you posted. They're a little more gonky, a little more brick house. Though I do explicitly point out that dwarfs, for instance, are all Shotas and short stacks. That's canon. BT does.
Oh, by lowly. Give.
There's no mention of beards. This was a pastiche of anime ass tropes. So yeah, no, dwarves are they have robust physiques but childish faces. So male dwarfs are boyish and sporty, while female dwarfs are usually rounded. Both are good with their hands.
Giggity.
With a hyphen explaining that dwarf craftsmanship is next to none. But there is a pause there if you want to make a joke. Now that said, the dwarfish culture, other than that, is drawn heavily from my experience with Dragon Age dwarfs because they're the coolest. Because they have a rigid caste system. Which, by the way, puts scholar priests at the top, nobles under them, and then smiths, workers, artisans, merchants, and soldiers. Soldiers are at the bottom, unfortunately. But that's what happens when it's just your job to hit things with an axe.
Yeah, Porter's gonna be a big boy. He's gonna be that true muscle. Big core muscles. That's that. But yeah,
I explicitly note when I said thick set that's parentheses rather fat and muscle.
Yeah,
because that's the pork rules: get strong and get fat.
Mm-hmm. So I've been thinking about just my Porter image and what he's about, because again we're talking because again this is the thing about you said pork, they're a pretty neutral race, but there's probably still...
Again, I pointed out, and I like this mystery. I don't think I will ever solve it canonically. Nobody knows where the fuck the pork came from. That's a good question of especially if you think about it, where do orcs come from? Nobody's really sure. Did Minim make them as foot soldiers, but she made them too good, so they're free-willed, which means they don't have to listen to her if they don't feel like it? Mm-hmm. Are they actually porcine beastmen? Are they the pig beastmen, but they display their own traits? It's weird. Because obviously, mechanically, they're not that, because they don't have the natural weapon effect or the enhanced senses. Their only stat line is that they, you talked about this earlier, talking about how they are. Their inherent trait is battle rage.
We aggressive boys.
Yes. When you make melee attacks, you can give yourself a setback dice to increase one hit of that attack's damage by 2. Mm-hmm. So you'll probably stress yourself out better, but if you actually hit him, you hit him harder. And their starting skills are coercion or resilience. Sounds about right. But yeah, so nobody really knows where the fuck they came from or why they're here. That's even in my cosmology. They are not listed as one of the races that was part of the big creation. So they just kind of showed up and they hit stuff. And they, yes, the forces of darkness hire a lot of them as mercenaries because they're really easy. They're like, hey, you want gold? You want meat? You want some booze? And also, some of the bosses of the forces of darkness are ludicrously strong. Mm-hmm. If the Demon King comes to your village and boops your strongest guy in the snoot, you're like, yes, you are the strongest. Clearly, I will get much strong and much fat following you. Mm-hmm. But also, others are like, nah, I could be an adventurer. I could get paid to kill stuff. That's even noted, a savvy pork who who rolls good on their starting int, they might end up as an adventurer or as a crime boss. By the way, yes, there's totally going to be pork mafias. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. And that offer is going to be, he's going to give me the gold, or I'm going to give him the great axe. You're going to give him a great axe as a present? No.
It's like, get him and turn him into bacon!
What'd you say about bacon? That's our word.
Do...
You can't use that word. That's our word. Alternatively, that'll be like that TFS quote where it was some random short or something, but they had Oolong the Pigman, and they talked about how there's pork in one of the dishes or something, and he's like, I taste delicious.
Oh no, Porter, like I said, Porter wants love, but as I said, this guy, he's currently charm 0. He's a very shy boy. Like, the best he can do right now is he can give women money, and they spend time with him.
Hey, at the very least, you do at least got a default presence, too.
Yeah.
You're not a Neff or a Longu, who both ended up with presence 1.
No.
Which are for different reasons. Longu is because they are stoic, vaguely East Asian dragon people who are like, no, we must be under control at all times. We are not really big on social niceties. We are big about breathing fire or lightning and stuff. And then the other one is the Neff, but that's because they're basically tieflings or the tiefling race slot. So, like, yeah, they're wildly mistrusted. Mm-hmm. Because they got, like, super cursed and demony. They do get the plus int, though.
Porter did originally have 2 in charm, but then I decided, I think Dallas was going to be more social, maybe? I don't know. So I decided to squeak back on that. Who knows, I might pick it up again, because I think I actually have charm and leadership again as a priest. Yes, I do.
Yeah, the priest career stats are charm, discipline, divine, no geography, no rules, leadership, medicine, perception. So at a high level, if you're a default priest, you know about talking to people, you know about casting magic, you know about the rules, aka scripture basically, and you know about culture and history, geography, which includes both physical geography and also like history, cultures, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, let's see. Right now, Porter it has 2 in discipline, 2 in divine, 2 in medicine, 2 in perception, 1 in resilience, 2 in geography, and 2 in the rules.
Pretty good. Did a lot doubling up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a decent, workout of like, okay, at a high level, a priest talks to people and knows things and also does some spellcasting stuff and medicine, obviously, because that's I figure medicine in general is a really good thing to have as a career. Like, lots of priests are healers or medicine people.
Yeah.
And I think perception was I was like, fuck, I need a 7th. I'll give him perception.
Perception's fine. It's nice.
And then, depending on what you are, you get different stuff. Like, Crusaders still get divine and discipline, but they add coercion and melee light to that list, because they're Templars, they're, paladins. Inquisitors... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh, no, I'll let you finish. You'll hit White Hat at the end.
Yeah, I'll hit White Hat at the end. Inquisitors get charm, coercion, perception, and vigilance because they are Inquisitors.
Mm-hmm.
They literally have access to both good cop and bad cop. They're a very interesting build. Inquisitor Shrinekeeper, by the way, that's a powerful build. That's got you some ranks of dodge in there. That's got you some more ranks of exploit. You could also go with Oracle too, because then there's you got dodge and rapid reactions in there. But Inquisitor is kind of the social type priest. Like, you've got a couple of abilities that make you good at some spellcasting stuff, but generally you are social. You're using your knowledge to understand stuff and to be social. And then White Hat is divine, no rules, leadership, and medicine, because they are the healer.
Yeah, they don't actually get any different spells from priest, but it works.
Well,
let's
yeah.
me just double
either whether you buy into White Hat from not in the career or just, no, I'm a White Hat now, it's like, yeah, no, you either double down on being the healer or you can take some of the other stuff.
I totally double down on being the healer.
And White Hat is definitely the most spellcasting focused, because that gives you signature spell, brilliant casting, conduit, masterful casting, all that stuff. But also has a lot of Healy Bop stuff. You have the full inspiring rhetoric, you have, some a little bit of a couple ranks of apothecary, it looks like. You got a couple painkiller specs, only a flesh wound, which is great. So that they're very balanced in healing and support and doing spellcraft stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I've already got things planned out. Oh Jesus, sorry, I'm watching this cat video. I'm gonna start off with White Hat, probably pick up a Churgeon, and then probably Grandmaster and Shrine Keeper. Because here's the thing, looking at this, if XP is the same experience, we'll probably get through these things actually pretty quickly. Especially as
there's a little bit of layout stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, a little
bit
of
layout. That's the whole point of... One, because I like it because it fits the theme, but the whole reason why the game says in the expanded player's guide you can add in spec trees, because they don't exist in default Genesis, it's a pyramid system, is that, no, they let you control what talents people have access to, so players feel very specialized, literally. And also, it can let you get access to higher tier talents, because especially the way I've drawn some of these trees work, if you get all the way down to the bottom in your 25s, if you're playing normal Genesis rules, you have to build your pyramid back up. You have to buy one talent in every rank under it to get to that again. But depending on the way your specialization tree is laid out, you might get into your 25 and then just go 25, 25, 25, buy all the way over if you can.
Mhm.
So you can get access to your higher level talents and your specialized stuff faster. I tried to make sure that every spec tree has a unique talent in it, usually a tier 5. And all of the core class ones have a dedication. Because while your stats cap out sooner, I think it's a little sassy if you can't get access to dedications at a good clip. There's tries to be different spread of ranks. There's a little bit of fighting, like I tried to be fair with with grits and toughened and stuff. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Like, White Hat's very focused on that. They're a spellcasting class, so it makes sense. They get 3 grits. They're a little spread out, though. You can go in different directions for different stuff, but some classes don't, because I'm like, no, it just doesn't work out that way. Like, I know Bishop has a couple grits. Does Oracle have grits? Okay, so I think all the new priest ones ended up with at least a couple of grits. But Shrine Keeper is the only one that has a couple ranks of toughened, because they're actually kind of, you're out there in the woods fighting monsters with your bow and stuff, So that's
Did I mess up fucking Porters? Oh, I did mess it up. I'm supposed to be starting with 12 strain. It's 8+ will, but then I bought a point of grit, so it's 12.
Yeah, Porks they start with more wounds, but start with lower strain.
Porter's starting with 15 wounds. He's got the chunk.
Yeah, so I believe because humans get 110 XP like normal. Half elves, half elps. They actually get 11 plus in those, but they start only with 100 XP, even though they have a flat stat spread. Mm-hmm. So they are slightly cooler and better and more unique in every way. How does that work? Elps are flat. Dwarfs are slightly less strain, slightly more brawn, but not as much as Pork. Jinn are the reverse. They're slightly less wounds, but slightly more strain. And Longu pay an EXP premium to get extra willpower, and they also have an attack as their special trait. It does have slow firing too, but literally you can never be unarmed as a Longu. No,
here comes fire breath.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be fire per se, because it's basically got stun setting, but you have a literal breath weapon. It's called Dragon Breath. It's dam 6, crit 4, short range, blast 3, burn 1, slow fire 2.
At some point, Porter's gonna have to visit some fucking monks so he can talk about how the fuck did he learn how to maybe one day channel the inner fucking dragon.
Sage is a fun tree. The monk ones are pretty cool. They're much more these let you do some weird shit. Like, Grandmaster is not that. Grandmaster is very much you can't just start as a Grandmaster kid, but it adds a lot of very basic stuff that makes you really good at fighting. Avatar is yes, that is the reference, guys. One of their abilities is called Arcane Fist. This lets you add, it lets you increase the burn, disorient, and stare or stun quality based on your ranks of no rules, as almost as if you were casting magic with your fists. They also have the Touch of Magic ability, which is a unique one where you can, there are talents otherwise to learn any other one, but this is specifically, when you purchase this talent, you pick any magic skill. You can get that that now becomes a career skill. You can only cast 1 spell per encounter. But avatars are the weird, they embody magic in their body and do weird shit. Like, they have 2 ranks of the new talent, Telekinesis, which means they can literally move shit with their mind. Now, with only 2 ranks, you can only get as far as medium, but I think that's safe. That's a good stop there. And I don't think anybody else is going to get Telekinesis. But you can, literally do stuff at medium range. They have a couple of interesting interactions. They are one of the classes that gets the new talent I made called Warding, which basically lets you give defense for magic spells. When somebody targets you with a spell, you can be like, fuck you, no, take some black dice.
Shrine Keeper gets that as well.
Yes.
I saw it because I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, I added that to them too. Those are. I think those will probably be the other ones who get it. But that's, you have a reaction to be like, no, please don't cast that spell on me. Stop it. Avatar also has access to the Wall Crawler talent, which is literally you get to you can move on vertical surfaces as easy as horizontal surfaces, and get bonuses to reducing fall damage. Because that's there. It's like a really freaky, no, I'm literally channeling magical powers into my body. And then Sage is all about internal alchemy shit. Like, literally, they get alchemy, node engineering, no rule, resilience.
Mm-hmm.
So they are because we talked about this, there are talents in the Keyforge book that are about cooking. Sage is going to be, I think, the only tree that's going to get both breaking bread and flavor sensation at once.
Yep, that's why I'm going for it.
Yeah, Bishop does get breaking bread because they're all about social, and spoilers, the future shaman Spectre Witch will probably also get
flavor sensation.
Yeah, flavored sensation, because I think that's going to be, because there's not outright a super great it's not a career skill for shaman, it's not medicine, and do any of them get it? No. Okay. So yeah, which will be, they'll have some offensive stuff too, like cursing and poisoning, but they will also be about healing. And actually, they're not even going to get medicine. I'm going to literally give them a talent that lets you sub in survival to heal people.
Oh, nice.
With herbal remedies. So they're very much that kind of build. So they'll probably get flavor sensation because that fits them. But Sage gets both those. They got a decent amount of stuff like Knack for it. And then they have a couple of other talents in there, like they've got the full ranks of Hard-Headed.
Yeah, no, actually, that one, really, because you put all the way up to Supreme and gave it 3 ranks. I was like, Jesus.
Well, yeah, I had to, because it is ranked, so it's like, okay, we gotta work with this. But yeah, so, you need to do the thing. So, Hard-Headed is a talent that, the default form is when you're staggered, as in, you can, make a resilience check, and, if you do, you're no longer staggered. And the difficulty goes down to a minimum of easy, depending on how many ranks you have. So, There's three ranks, so you can get it down to average, I think.
Yes.
Which I think is fair. I don't know if I want to actually make it all go all the way to easy. And who knows?
Well, I mean, you have fucking improved and Supreme in here. You got to keep it a little bit fucking difficult. Jesus.
Yeah, no, because improved is if you exceed your strain threshold, even though normally you can't do actions, you can attempt to do a formidable 5 dice resilience check to be like, no, I'm not. Fuck you. And then Supreme is that for wounds. So you can literally beat the shit and be like, I'd like to be hard-headed right now. So, yeah, maybe there'll be a future talent tree that has, the default one and a couple of ranks. I don't know yet. It might just be this one. And it only goes that far, because there are limits. But the other thing that Sage gets that's really unique to them is Channel the Dragon, which is basically the refuffed version of the Bad Breath talent. But, yeah, it literally gives you a breath weapon. It's a little bit different than how the Longi one works. Like, for instance, it is based on ranged. And you get to pick your qualities, but also it's not flat damage. Mm-hmm. But you have to buy more ranks with a lot more extra EXP to get better damage and get better qualities. Like, if you want to get Burn 3, which is what actually, it's Blast 3 is the default for the Dragon Breath one. But if you wanted to get Blast 3, for instance, you would have to pick Blast as your one special effect at your first rank, and then buy the other 2 ranks, which are 15 and 25 EXP. And then also, with the improved version, you can pick a second special effect, so you could add Burn, Disorient, Ensnare, Pierce, Stun, or Vicious. Yeah, that's right, you can do Vicious on there. It's a little scary. But there's a lot of EXP investment and building towards it. But it's a good one. And also they have their really big other special talent is Internal Alchemy is their unique tier 5 one, which is whenever you roll strain in the enemy encounter, you recover additional strain equal to your ranks in Alchemy, because that's kind of your Sage thing.
Is that very important for Porter, who's anytime he casts... If I remember correctly, for little narrative spells, it's not actually going to cause anything.
Yeah,
but anytime...
outside of structured time, but if you're casting shit like heals, attacks, and whatever, you're using a strain.
I think it's 2 strain, actually, per...
It might be 2, yeah.
Like I said, I haven't fully read the rules, because I know there are specific for different casters, there's different rules, and I think it's for Divine, I think it's 2 strain. I could be wrong. I never know.
Well, we'll work that out when we're actually playtesting and rolling dice. But yeah.
Well, we're going to play this because I really want to play my fucking...
Well, yeah, no. Yeah. Well, that's what I said. When we do that, we're going to work it out.
Yes.
But yeah, no. Kind of like how for Jedi work, because spending dark side points, takes strain and stuff, and a lot of other force talents are strain based. Like using parry and reflect a lot. While yes, there is still parry and some stuff. And actually, you can use a shield to... You cannot reflect anything in this system currently. Which makes sense. I don't think they haven't come up with any logical reason for how that works. Outside of Star Wars. But you can, I think it's the block talent. You can get a talent that lets you use parry with a shield to intercept missiles, basically. You can't reflect it back, but you can reduce range damage. Mm-hmm. But spellcasters are very strain reliant, which is very funny because the primary ways you heal strain is smoking and drinking. So, if you buy a case of alcohol, which is like normal stuff, like a wineskin or a keg of beer, that if everybody takes a drink at the end of an encounter, you will heal 1 additional strain. And then, so in Keyforge, their big MacGuffin stuff is Ember. Which has the AE in there. Ember, or whatever. Ember. It's Amber. But they have stats for Ambred and Ambrew, so I was like, I'm gonna fucking steal these, because they're funny. So, now, is it Fine Spirits? Yes, Fine Liquor is a new item, which now lists, distilled and aged stuff, the higher quality things.
Mm.
Literally, by the way, because it's like, I think like twice the price. Let me check. A little bit more, because you can get a casual traveling case of alcohol for 25 gold. A single bottle of fine liquor will rate you 60 gold, 60 GP. It's twice the rarity, 4 instead of 2. But that's where you get, your rums, your brandies, your whiskey. Not scotch, because that doesn't work, because there's no Scotland. And your weird shit. They make the Alps, some Alps, the snow Alps in particular, make ice wine, which they call vodka, because vodka in Esperanto has an O in it. Well, 2 O's technically, you know what I mean? So yeah, you got your vodka, your fruit infusions, your cactus wine. Drink cactus juice, it's the quenchiest. But mechanically what that is once per session, you can consume the fine liquor to heal strain equal to half your strain threshold, and then add a boost to all your discipline checks for the rest of the encounter. So it's only once per session. It's limited, kind of the same way that the stamina potion is. But yeah, it's still a good way to recover your strain and quick. The wound equivalent is Elk bread, which is just elven bread. It's lembas. It's funny. It ended up alphabetically just under dungeon rations, so obviously there's a comparison there directly. 1 blob of dungeon rations is enough food to last you a day, and usually it's bad. There's a lot of MRE memes in dungeon rations.
Oh, yeah.
Like, occasionally you get a rare treat. You get a spiced cheese, maybe you get a candied fruit, some salted potato slices. They're not potato chips, but they are sliced potatoes that are salted. Mostly it's salty, dry jerky, hardtack biscuits or crackers, and blocks of preserved fat with berries in it for your fruits and veg. The description is, it's held in special oilcloth so it will almost never spoil or rot, but is only technically edible.
Technically.
So, you can eat it. You will not die of hunger. It's usually not a great experience. But elk bread is, flavorful. It's palatable to and filling to everyone, never will spoil, and a whole loaf lasts a grown man a week. But also, if during an encounter you eat the whole fucking loaf, you get back wounds equal to half your wound threshold. And a boost die on all resilience checks. Because calories. And honestly, with the way the capital R rules work, eating food is probably part of the natural healing process. You probably, if you break a bone, maybe you have to set it so it'll heal correctly, but theoretically, the only thing you probably have to do to heal that bone, critical injury style, would be to eat and sleep for so long. It's literally like a fucking video game timer system, where it's just oh yeah, no, and your broken bone is just better. Cool.
Bandages fix everything.
Yeah, so it makes sense that, if you eat a super calorie-rich food, you will heal a shitload of wounds, but only so much, because otherwise you'll explode. And I've been adding a couple of little new widgets to the gear list. The adventuring guide was mentioned earlier. There's the component pouch, which gives you +1E like a belt, but also you can stock it by using an alchemy or survival check, and that adds a little bonus to your next alchemy or survival check to craft. So basically, you've got a little bit of shit for making herbal medicines or potions or whatever. This was a fun one I made up. The Clean Stone. Adventurers love it. It's basically like a pumice rock, but because, again, the rules are weird, you can do stuff like, okay, this rock has the principle of cleaning, because, pumice stones clean people. Mm-hmm. So you can use it to scrub dirt and grime off your body. But also, you can use it to clean your clothes, because naturally, if something cleans, it cleans everything. You can use it as a whetstone to sharpen and polish your weapons. And also, if you pour water through it, it filters. So it's great.
This is a great rock.
Which is why it's 50 gold. But it's a multi-purpose rock. If you own a clean stone, you can always clean yourself and your shit, basically. Let's see. I added the gaming table, which I spent way too much time writing. It's like a fucking paragraph compared to some of this other shit.
It is.
That's just how I be. I love fluff. And because I play a lot of games, I understand. No, dude, games are important. Games tell you a lot about cultures. So the gaming table, it's also, by the way, it's fucking heavy. It's like it's E10. It's not really portable.
No.
But it is a source of entertainment. There's a lot of games you can play with it, which reference stuff. There's Ludus, which is kind of it's maybe like Ludo, but also might be kind of a checkersy type thing. There's a Longu version. There's Marbles, which is just Mancala. There's Tegula, which is a game of collecting and placing tiles, so it's probably fantasy mahjong, because everybody loves mahjong. And then there's just the Adventurer's game, which is like super chess. Because just imagine if you had a chessboard, but instead of all the same static pieces, you could build your own. You could pick your own pieces. That's the Adventurer's game. You can be like, yeah, I'm gonna bring four bishops, and then you're gonna be like, cool, great, shit, this guy has 4 rooks. He's kicking my ass.
It makes me think of just mini, small scale 40K.
Yeah, it's not quite 40K level, though I do note the table's large enough you can play more abstract and complex war games, but I'm thinking something more like Imperial Assault or, and technically small stuff like Kill Team or Space Hulk, where you play Terminators fighting Gene Stealers or whatever. There are small scale games in 40K or other settings which work like that. So it's a little bit more complex than chess, but it's not quite full blown locked in your back room painting miniatures for a week kind of stuff. Under the gaming table, there are goggles. It's very important. It's very important to have goggles.
Especially if you're on an airship.
Yeah.
But yeah,
also, that's I talked about drinking and smoking. Pipe weed is still in here. That has the effect that if you smoke it, you smoke a dose when your strain is greater than half your strain threshold, you heal 1 strain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not quite as big deal as the fine liquor or even the cask. But if you're a little stressed out, it'll definitely start taking that edge off.
Mm-hmm.
I think I added the disguise kit because I saw that was in the Keyforge setting, and it just makes sense for this too. Did I add any other?
Want a fucking what are they? What are they called again? There's those Japanese fucking smoke pipes. What are they fucking called?
Kiseru.
Yeah, Kiseru.
I know this because they're one of the improvised. They're technically a weapon in L5R. And they have the mundane tag, so you can take your pipe in with you when you go place, and then maybe you might bludgeon a bandit with it. But yeah,
Porter's gonna want one. Porter's probably gonna have to visit Longu or some fucking goddamn fucking temple shit. I said, Lucky is personally of the fan you can't really always do this in tabletops, but usually having in-story reasons for why you pick something up. Because you look at some things I start off a priest, but I want to pick up Sage, which is a thing from a monk, which might be something Longu related, maybe? So, even if I don't have to go...
There are some monasteries in other places.
Oh, yeah, but still, it's one part of, maybe I, need to go travel to, a monastery and, spend some time with some monks and learn some shit. But at the same time, also, there's, XP, it's I have the XP now, why not? But...
Well, and that is kind of that is sort of the caveat to the advanced and prestige classes. Some of these are mechanically complex and weird, but some of them are just your GM should tell you if you can pick this or not, because you can't just decide to be a monk grandmaster. That's not how that works.
No,
something has to happen where you can promote that up.
Gonna go to fucking some sort of monastery, be yo, I'm here to learn about eternal alchemy and maybe get a Kiseru. That'd be fun. I'll put that on Porter's list of things to do.
And the other big mechanical thing I think I did, it's not even mechanical, but I got tired of how big the 2 tables were, so no magic items and artifacts are 2 tables instead of 1 table. It bother me. Now. So all of the artifacts are just all of the shit that's listed is priceless. The things that there could be only one of, or at the very least are really special and only available to some people, which includes, all kinds of weird shit. The Goblin Slayer, the sword.
The kata.
The giant's knife, which was from a Legend of Zelda game, I think. But I just love the idea that a giant's pocket knife or kitchen knife is a huge greatsword to a man.
Oh yeah,
and that's not so giant's knife. That's not a special, super unique artifact, but you can only find one of those if you're knocking over giants, my dude. That's how that works.
Same
with a lot of the special there's some special staffs and stuff where it's just like, okay, so you have a sacred relic to a certain priesthood, and unless you're hanging out with those guys, you can't get them. Like, even if it's theoretically mass-produced or whatever, Waters of Hell is still in the artifact list, because it's like, no, you can't just, like, go to some place and order a bottle full of the Waters of Hell, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That means you have to know somebody who went to hell and, like, went to the border anyway and, like, dipped a bottle in the burning river of flame. Though I expect at some point Porter will probably want to get some Waters of Hell so he can make some extra spicy hell chili.
Yeah, that was a joke that I immediately made. When you wrote the description, it's like, so I read this, and clearly this means that, because they say they have a healing effect, but they're also, like, it burns you.
Yeah, like, the thing about Phlegethon, the River of Fire, which is what encircles hell in this world, is...
What did I write?
It hurts a lot. It's like swimming through fire, but it actually heals you at the same time. It causes you no physical injury. It's just there so you will never die from the pain. You will just get distracted by the river and sink into your eternal torment because you're not supposed to cross the borders. So if you bottle it, it heals you. But man, it sucks.
Yeah, so my first thought, so clearly this means that the Waters of Hell are actually just super fucking spicy, and I should totally use it in making a chili. And Omega was just like, I immediately support this headcanon.
I accept this. Yes, correct. You have correctly modeled the tone of my setting, Lucky. It is now super spicy. Well, and I won't throw too much shade at Axe because we joke about him reading sometimes. But I know that you may not have read all the geography stuff. That's not how hell works.
No,
there's no mainland. It's like hell is literally in the ground.
Yes, it's like how fucking the underworld in Babylonia was. It's if we dig deep enough, we'll literally get to hell.
And actually, that is also where the underworld is literally under the ground, and then under that they were like, "Fuck it, we need a place to stick some of these people. Let's build hell. Let's build hell down there."
I'm pretty sure there is some mountain that is the entrance to hell somewhere that is guarded by some many beasts and whatnot. But
there's comments about there and stuff like that. And if you want to get into hell, you got to get through the Hellmouth or just fly over or something. Like that is the question of like, can you just waltz into hell? Maybe, I don't know. There's technically border patrols, but there's a whole question about that. Like I think that's in Barrett's description because he is based in Acheron, the Fortress of Woe, which is in the middle of the Lake of Blood.
That sounds so edgelord.
Barrett's a little tryhard. His one flaw is that he was the opposite of Heraklion, the Scion of Fire and Valor, and she gave him a little bit of a bad touch when they fought in person. Oh, and literally in his description, he has a burned handprint on his giant demon armor mask that might also literally be his face. So his plans are mostly based on thwarting her or doing stuff that runs counter to her, so he's a little short-sighted, even though he literally has the power to predict the future. It's funny how that works. I'm big on the ironic hells, guys. But his fortress is set at basically the source of the River of Fire near the Hellmouth, so he's supposed to be watching the entrance. But I even note, all they do is that they prevent dumb demons from trying to escape, and they will extort passing damned souls who get kicked down here.
So if I literally just walk down the hill, stop by the edge of the water, and just dip my fucking bottle in while it's out, probably not going to get attacked. Well, by those guys, I should say.
No, and honestly, as a priest, the angels who are supposed to patrol this are probably like, dude, you know that river's made of fire, right? Like, that's going to suck. And you'd be like, yeah, I know.
But chili.
They're like, okay, we're not technically supposed to stop you unless you're actually going into hell, so, okay, fine. But don't tell our boss, okay?
Listen, these are the kind of things that I enjoy just thinking about, even though we're not playing for a long time. Like I said, Mind's Eye Theater is fucking great, y'all. Like this one, I think because I particularly enjoy that, and some other people do, is that we can actually play online so much. Because there are some people out there who are just like, no, we need miniatures, we need exact measurements.
But and there are some game systems that are really about that. Like I was thinking through my RPG folder and looking around, and I was like, oh shit, I still have all my my D&D 4th ed stuff, including I think I have a working offline version of the character builder, which is now defunct. Which is unfortunately a thing you kind of need if you want to do all this stuff in that game, because man, there's a lot of powers and stuff. But I like 4th edition, and I think some descriptions made it best. 4th edition is very much a tactical RPG, like it's about team synergy and doing your stuff together. and like actually organizing your group and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't pay attention to who's filling what roles and what kind of abilities you have, you can get in each other's way and not have a good time. But I like the tactical stuff. But that's literally a game where everything is defined by, like, not even like how they do translate it back, but in like 5th ed, they go back to like feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you have a 30-foot speed, you can move 6 squares, 5-foot squares. 4th ed is like, no, your speed is 6 squares. So you really need Roll20 or map tools or whatever so that you can actually properly portray all the fields and stuff. But man, Theater of the Mind is so much easier on the brain.
Oh, it is.
How many maps have I made for Star Wars? Like 2?
Yeah.
Usually I'm just like, you're over here and you're over there, and that guy's probably like, he's that far away from you.
Cool. Yeah, so we kind of fudge on the tactical things, like we don't ever think about things like flank. Like, we had this problem doing the boss fight. It was like, yeah, so there are like 4 guys and 8 clones all on this one dude. This is a little bit of a clusterfuck, and we're just like, oh yeah, huh?
Yeah. But it's definitely kind of a thing where it's like, okay, so this guy's just getting manwiched right now. All right, well, that's how it works. And there are occasionally questions where I will be like, okay, so you know that there's like 3 other guys engaged with this guy. Are you sure you want to get in there? And then sometimes the players will be like, yeah, no, okay, that's crowded. I won't. I'll find something else to do. And then there's the times where players will be like, yes. Like, okay, well, I guess that guy's getting dogpiled even more. I am always Omega is very much the ask you the question GM. He's like, okay, I'm not actually saying you can't do this, but I would like to set up for you the situation you're in. You would like to do a quadruple backflip somersault and stick the landing onto a moving train car, right? And usually players go, okay, no, that sounds like a bad idea. Hold on, let me think about this. And then sometimes they'll just be like, yes, and I'll be like, okay, roll me some dice. I want to clarify, and if you're dead set on this, I'll be like, okay, roll some dice. Are you going to give that Sith the people's elbow? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Duquette has done something like that.
Duquette has definitely given... Duquette was all another Brawl character, kind of, because he was the origin of shock boots and gloves.
Yes.
So you, despite being a small-sized Batman, I think you threw hands, elbows, knees, feet, everything. I'm pretty sure there were some fucking flying tackles in there. The works. You ended up with a decently robust Brawl score, and also you used Enhance to give you free bonus on it, because force powers are bullshit. Oh, but they're so entertaining.
There. Oh, man. But yeah, actually talking about XP, like, that's gonna be something interesting for me playing this game, is since I'm usually like, our big Star Wars games have always been me playing a force-sensitive character, so I've always had to concern myself about buying force powers right? in my thing. So this will be the first time, like, because I'm super hoping this will be a long-form game.
Well, I'd really, especially with the way the setting is I can literally use it to playtest, because I can just be like, and this week you face a freaky spider cult. And this week you must face an alliance of kobolds and goblins. And this week you must fight 1 million skeletons. Like, it's pretty easy with the standard fantasy setting to just be like, okay, you guys are wandering adventurers, you wander around and poke stuff, and then I can be like, ooh, well, let's pull the trigger on some of my plot hooks. Let's tug on this line.
But, so, like, I won't have to worry about, like, how much XP has Arma put into force powers? A fair bit. Like, not as, like...
I mean, okay, so you did have discounts on the basic powers for most of your shit, but...
Yeah. That's only, like, a discount of 5, so that's, like, 15
usually,
experience.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to just buy, like... is Brawl the first one on that track? No, it's not. I think you gotta go athletics first, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
athletics. So that's minimum Brawl. 2 upgrades. And then if you want to do the piloting ones, then you have to do, I think it's coordination, then planetary, then space, I believe.
Yes.
Which I think Marth has done.
Yeah,
for Cavis. I think Cavis at least has planetary. Like, you get a lot of mileage out of force powers because they are literally specialization or career agnostic, right?
Yeah.
So they're very, very broad. Even before Arama was a Steel Hand adept, you were benefiting from the fact that you could roll force dice on Brawl. Yes. And in fact, that's part of why you ended up being a Steel Hand adept, was because you were like, shit, I'm really good with my fists, and that's really utilitarian in this campaign. What if I just did martial arts?
Yeah.
So you can blend all that stuff in there very, very universally, right?
Yeah.
But they're very EXP intensive. Like, that's the thing people have talked about. Like, force power is very strong, but at higher levels, your force sensitive characters will be splitting between picking up their cool talents and picking up their cool force powers. Whereas vanilla characters will probably have a whole extra spec tree and a lot more extra talents and be just as bananas.
And probably extra skill levels as well. Probably.
Yeah, depending on what their build is. Especially
depending on the build.
Because you can do very, very narrow builds. Like, being a Jedi, like, you probably, especially the way you guys are actual Jedi in the Clone War, you started with lightsabers. It's like, okay, we want to make some lightsaber checks. We want to hit people with glow bats. If you were playing, like, I think it's Hired Gun Marauder is the specialization that's melee focused. Oh, you literally only need melee. And maybe, like, an initiative skill, maybe. Or maybe you just do like we always do, and we let whoever rolled first take that position. Like, you don't need a diverse skill base. Now, Marauders do have, obviously, 4 skills, but you can just roll 1 skill to hit things. And honestly, that's kind of the advantage. Like, I like what they did with Genesis, where you can flip that paradigm, right? Where you can make melee light and heavy, and that is for Gensekai. And make ranged 1 skill, because there isn't a super variety of ranged weapons. But it's a fun one, but, like, yeah, no, it's interesting to see where the skill splits are and stuff, and you can be very narrow. Or you could be like a colonist or a scholar, like, I think scholar is one of the colonist ones, or doctor or whatever, and just be like, nah, I just have all the skills. I have, like, there's like 8 knowledge skills, I got like 6 of them. I know things. Because, guys, knowing things is important. I think I talked about this before, but the last session of D&D we actually played, our 2 skill monkey characters were kind of out of it. Like, one guy was gone, and the other guy didn't feel good, and was working on some life stuff. So, this was just the low-int crew cruising around this dungeon, not doing shit. Like, we didn't know nothing from nobody. And it's really interesting to see that, and it reminds you that, oh yeah, big brain characters and characters with skill ranks are very important. That's how you know shit. And that's why my backup character is now a tiefling fighter who is a big brain archer. I literally went out of my way to spec for more intelligence. Okay. So, let's see. I think we talked about everything Super Genesis related. So Ranger would be the next blob of prestige classes, and I can if people want to know, I can say what they would be, because I've got a good grasp on what these 3 are. Slayer is going to be doubling down on killing mobs, and the reason why it's prestige is because you don't just be a Slayer, you have to actually kill something important. That will probably kind of mix in melee and range stuff. Like, I don't know where it'll go or what rank it'll be yet, but I'm imagining giving them a talent like something like close quarters archery, where you can downgrade the difficulty of a check made at somebody who's engaged with you. So you can, or more likely if you're playing a ranger, if a monster gets right up on you, you can be like, I don't have to disengage or back up, I can just shoot him. Right? Stuff like that. Warden is going to be more defensively focused, and they're going to get some of the new talents for animal companion stuff, like the Beastmaster talent they added in Keyforge, where you can get 2 animal companions. And then, and they'll just be kind of more high rank stuff with rangers. And then Warlord is going to be kind of self-explanatory. They're going to be a leadership class, and I'm going to borrow from some of the more interesting talents available to some of the other stuff. Like, I was looking over for monk stuff, some of the Jedi talent trees that they added in Clone Wars, and I saw Jedi General, and they had like stand firm and fall back. I think those are going to get replicated in Warlord, stuff like that. Oh, yeah. So like you'll be able to do more tactical control and kind of field running, but not necessarily in the same way that like somebody who like specs into like noble or God forbid bishop is going to be leading people. No, you're like, no, I'm out here, I'm leading people, but I'm field leading. I'm out here beating people up with swords and bows too.
Leading from the front.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of my spec out for what those 3 will be like, and they will hopefully do a decent blend in of some new stuff, because there are some interesting new. Part of the reasons why I got enthused to do this like right now, other than just my general liking of interacting with the mechanics, is because the Keyforge book does genuinely add one. No, there's no operating. First of all, there's no pilot at all in this system, but there's no operating there. Double check. Do any of the Ranger builds get riding? If not, they may end up in Warden. Ranger has riding as a career skill overall. Oh, and Hunter gets it. Yeah, so it would be riding. There will definitely be no call for getting operating as operating makes no sense for Rangers. And I think actually, because they actually talk about this in Genesis and other setting and some of the setting books, when you actually want to use what skill to pilot what, right? So, like, I think if I remember correctly, let me open up the vehicles tab. Yeah, if you're handling a coach or a chariot, which is, like, drawn by an animal, that's riding. That's still the animal handling type skill. So, like, that's already in there. Operating is like airships or boats. Sea ships.
Waterships.
Yeah. And admittedly, that includes the humble rowboat, but rowing a boat is different than steering a horse. But yeah. And I honestly don't know if there'll be any more. The vehicle outlines are pretty bare bones, but I don't know if they'll be a big deal. That's why Gunner, for instance, is an extra class, because it's like, they're all about heavy weapons and vehicle weapons, so it's like, I don't actually know if you're gonna get there. I legit don't know if your GM will go that route. I don't even know if I'll go in that route. I'll probably do there eventually, because I do want to add, maybe the Forces of Darkness have access to, weird ironclad boats, because, giant smokestacks full of black smoke and ships of black iron are cool. And dark fantasy cool. But and I do mention that, goblins try to, cobble together weird hulks, but that might be more a setting than an actual thing you fight. But still, there might be a couple of vehicle profiles in, the adversaries block. I don't know if we'll get more complex than, okay, you have a chariot, you have a coach or cart, rowboat, longship, galley, ship of the line, and airships, because I love airships. I don't know if the vehicles will get more advanced than that. But yeah, that was my point on there, I think, was that's what I'm working on next, and then there's some stuff there. When I actually get to building the adversaries list, which I will do, it's in there. It's in the list. It's literally a bullet point. There'll probably be a lot of interesting decisions there about how I break that up, and that's, again, like I said earlier, that's part of why I'm writing the Archdemon stuff. Because that gives me more excuses for, and now this fiend can show up. Fiends, undeads, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we fluffed this out sufficiently, and it is after midnight. So we should probably go ahead and wind down.
What's our mission clock at, by the way?
3:37, Raw.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
Yeah, I think it was probably about 2:30, maybe, when we left Ghosts of Tsushima, maybe? Somewhere around there. Got some stuff in there. We covered all the basics. I think, the other thing that might be of interest to some people is, I did mention earlier, we are moving to Wildmount for our D&D campaign and stuff, and I was trying to do a little bit of research for that, and that's when I found out that it was the Critical Role campaign setting, so I have started watching Critical Role, actually. I started their second campaign. For those of you who don't know, and I don't know how you wouldn't, because they had, record-setting Kickstarters and stuff, even though I hadn't watched them before, I knew what they did, but, Critical Role is a D&D show, basically. They have cameras and everything. Which is hosted and dungeon mastered by the voice actor Matt Mercer, who you will remember from many things, and he and his nerdy voice actor friends play D&D. It's pretty interesting. I think the acting component comes into it a lot, because everybody's pretty well spoken all the time, in stark contrast to us. Usually they only lose their shit when somebody, Laura Bailey, makes a dirty joke. Well, there's a couple of people, but mostly it's Laura. She laughs at a lot of stuff. But I'm enjoying it a lot, because they do all have it's all voice actors, so they have a lot of voice acting chops, and there's a lot of people I like in there. I mentioned Laura Bailey and her husband Travis Willingham are in there, so there's fun. They do a lot of voices. They do some D&D. They roll some rolls. They roll awfully at some points, which gives me catharsis, because I too have rolled badly in D&D. I have been fucked over, because Laura's character, for instance, Jester, is a cleric who has the Sacred Flame cantrip. I'm a paladin. I have a Sacred Flame cantrip, thanks to the bounty of my GM, and I think it's one of those spells where if they beat the DC, nothing happens. I think I've fired it 3 times, and literally every single creature I've targeted has rolled a 13 or better on a dex save. So I have yet to hit anything with it. But yeah, it's an interesting ride. They have good screen presence, as you might expect from actors. Mercer does a pretty good job. I think his biggest talent is the fact that somehow he can corral 6 to 7 of these people on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. If you listen to RAPs, I don't really go full-blown yell and scream. Occasionally we have a little bit of tension. There's a little bit of yelling, but that happens with everybody. But usually there's at least a decent amount of me herding cats on 4 people. Okay, it's your turn. You do this, you do that. Honestly, Lucky, herding cats-wise, you're not that bad. Usually you're focused, but that also could just be because the 2 big campaigns we've run, which were the biggest chunk of our actual plays right now, are you have been the leader character. That's Mages of War and Clone Wars. So I don't need to corral you. You're like a fucking missile. I point you at the plot, and you go. And however I need to point you in the right direction is how it works. Right? So, whereas in other games, yeah, sure, you can, like, Taket wasn't very leadery, and he could get a little flighty, but you, at least in that group, I think you were the person with the most, you were doing the most talking anyway, so it worked out.
I think, like, yeah, that's when I got in the habit of, like, I should just be the face character, because I like talking.
Yeah, you ended up the face character because Taket was energetic and talked about anything anyway, so, and let's be real, none of the other players in that game was gonna be the face. We had Fly and Shoot Man, we had Dr. Murderbot, and we occasionally had Shady DeRose Man. So, yeah, no. We needed somebody to talk to people. But it's a pretty decent time. I will say, I started with the second campaign because that's one actually set in Wildmount. It's a little, they got like 100 episodes, and they're playing real-ass D&D. So it's like 3 to 4 hours every time, so it's a little bit of a slow, but it's pretty entertaining. If you like that sort of thing, I recommend to check it out. Sorry, you guys are having that, I just noticed you're having that conversation about USOs, and you're using the GIF. We should mention to these people that we actually kind of sort of had this conversation in WhatsApp. But yeah, it's a good time, and I would say this, if you're a follower of that thing, well, you understand what actual play is, but I will warn you, our APs aren't like that, but that's because we're doing this over the internet. I would love to do that sort of thing, like they did that, like Rooster Teeth did with Heroes and Halfwits. Though I admit, D&D is a very... We talked about this, right? With the minis and the maps and stuff. D&D welcomes itself to a certain visual element, even if they don't focus on it. But they do have the sets, and I'm only like on episode 8 or whatever, but we've already established a running joke of just like, of the guys asking, oh, what's here? Sometimes they just do theater of the mind stuff, right? But other times it's like, oh, well, to give you a visual, and then Matt Mercer reaches under the desk and pulls out a fucking, diorama set and slaps it on the table, and everybody's like, where were you hiding this? Where did this come from, Mercer? Like, I think they're in a mine filled with gnolls right now, and I think they've gone through, like, 3 different and unique cave maps. But also, hey, they are big-name voice actors who make a lot of stuff and have connections. Like, their permanent or indefinite sponsor, for instance, for Campaign 2 is literally D&D Beyond, which is D&D's web assist tool service, where you can, like, order official D&D books and do all your shit online. So, they have support, but it's interesting, and it definitely gives me goals. Like, I'd love to do our AP show at that level, and just so we can, and we'll have a camera on a dolly zoom just so you can snap cut to focus on my fucking rolls sometimes, or anybody's rolls. Actually, honestly, Genesis dice are crazy. And we've been considering adding a visual element to our APs, but we don't really have any feedback on that. So if you are one of the 12 people, that's an exaggeration, who watches the APs. Let us know, because we could do some screen capture and stuff and let you see the rolls and let you see all of Loth's dumb jokes in the peanut gallery and all the GIFs we post, and occasionally when we get distracted by Twitter.
Yeah. Lucky but
it's not like because we talk about theater of the mind, it's not like we do hard and fast maps, so mostly it would just be us chammering back and forth, us asking questions, calculating difficulty, and then you could actually see the rolls. Usually, though, if a crazy roll happens, I step down and like, audience, I would like to inform you that despite rolling 50 bajillion positive dice, Lucky has rolled fucking nothing. At which point, Lucky's usually in the back going, heck, what? Angry Lucky noises. The whole thing. So the comedy elements still work. But yeah, it's a thing. So yeah, unless Lucky thought of something.
Lucky thinks many things, but none of them are relevant right now.
Okay. I'm still a little... You got me talking about Gensekai, so I got energized by the power of creation. But I'm still a little tired, so let's wrap this up. Because I have to edit this.
Yeah. We don't actually have to talk about Star Wars. Stuff happened, but it's long. We're already past 3 hours. We're going to let it go. But I am excited. You can listen
to the AP when it comes out. Hopefully... Yeah, I'll still be a little bit, because I got to edit this. I'm probably gonna give up on making, because it's not gonna be done tonight anyway. I'm not gonna bother trying to make the video version of this tonight. I'm just gonna post the audio for patrons, and then get to it. Well, luckily for you, I'm about to. I'll edit the audio and post it. Somebody came in late just as we're wrapping up.
That always happens.
Usually it does. It's what happens when you spread out for a little bit of time. What I was gonna say was that it might be a little bit after What's Up comes out, but I try to only have like one in the hopper for APs now. I'm pretty caught up. So I will be sure to put that one out. You can just listen to it. What do we call that one?
I don't remember.
I have them all.
It was something vehicle related, though.
It wasn't Slow Ride. We already used that one.
It wasn't Danger Zone because you're like, no, I'm saving that for dogfights.
Yes, no. There have to be planes if you're doing Danger Zone. That's just how that works. There's a law. The audio will boot up in a sec. It was Take Me Home Country Roads.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because there was some relaxing RV stuff, quote unquote. But we didn't start the fire, which was episode 32 was posted already. So I have the audio for 33, Take Me Home, which will, I can put out later, but I gotta work on the video version. But I won't work on that right away, because it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, but I have to work on the audio for this. So let's wrap up.
Right.
First of all, this is What's Up 98. That means there's 2 more to What's Up 100. That episode will probably be live to public. And we'll probably go, I don't know, we'll see what we're doing in 2 weeks, but we might go a little ham on the subject matter, because that's doing them public is usually when we get a lot of response, and that's how we can shill people on, like, hey, you should listen to What's Up all the time, kids. We should mention, because we actually did the math, and I mean me. Technically, we are post 2 years of What's Up. The first episode of What's Up was posted like July 15th or 16th, 2 years ago, because we're at almost 100 episodes. Math. That's okay. We didn't notice it, and nobody cares about the 2 years. But you'll care about 100 episodes. That's a milestone. So we're gonna, like I said, I think we're gonna double down on 100 being the big one. So we'll stay tuned. We'll do that episode live to public for our audience on Discord, and do all the yelling and screaming and whatever. Okay. That's the one bit of business. So I think I'll just do the usual wrap up. Let me adjust my headset first. I've been wearing it a while. So, if you like this episode and you're watching it on YouTube, be sure to give this episode a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. You can also hit up our Discord. That's how you'll get that live show if you're the public. That link is in our description and on our channel page as always. And at some point, it will have a cool banner. But for now, it just has a picture from the illustrated version of Dante's Inferno. Because I'm a sucker. And I think that I'm very entertaining. The question is to you if I am. But hey, if you like this video and haven't already, you can subscribe to this channel and get all our latest videos. Get more What's Up, get all those APs we're talking about, get all that other stuff. And even if you're already subscribed, considering that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. All that fun, cool stuff. It's very cool, very fun. Hit that bell. Stuff. I believe only 20% of people have, and the average on YouTube goes as high as 30%. Let's get those numbers up. Let's be above average, kids. And of course, like I said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You get access to this episode early in audio format for as little as $1 a month, and you can get lots of other goodies, and it really helps support us and stuff. Carries us over that way. Lets us do experiments, lets us do stuff. Is gonna let Lucky think about getting that web camera, and as soon as Lucky figures that out, then Omega will be like, well, I guess okay, now I have to look at that. Maybe I'll do like I did with the microphones and buy literally the same model. We'll see. I don't know. But that's everything. Stay tuned next week for the thing, which is more What's Up. That's what I meant. It's 1 a.m., guys. Okay. I've already said I'm tired. Blah, blah, blah. The thing happens and we gotta go. Whatever. Mic drop. We're gone. Lucky's already gone. He left to go get cigarettes while you weren't paying attention.